What is the Zeitgeist movement? The Zeitgeist movement, as well as the Venus Project, recognizes that problems like violence, addiction, pollution, poverty, and war are a result of the free market capitalist system. The market is not a social system, the market is actually a religion. In the book Modern Money Mechanics, under the section, What Makes Money Valuable, it says, quote, "What, then, makes these instruments, checks, paper money, and coins acceptable at face value in payment of all debts and for other monetary uses? Mainly, it is the confidence people have that they will be able to exchange such money for other financial assets and for real goods and services whenever they choose to do so." End quote. This is important to point out that the book that is meant to justify money makes a distinction between real goods and services, like clean water, food, technology, and money. The idea that since money is believed to have value, therefore it has value, is religious in nature. Beyond that, even the foundation of money, trading, is also religious and based on hate. Two parties both attempting to use deception to gain the better end of the deal. This is what the market promotes: competition, not cooperation, or both parties mutually benefiting, which is what trade is falsely advertised as. Enjoying, say, a competitive game of table tennis or chess does not mean our social system should be based on competition. The poor suffer from direct poverty while the rich suffer a sort of spiritual poverty or poverty of the soul, as someone has to have a huge ego to not care about their fellow human beings, to tower over others. The competitive market is stressful, which results in illness and addictions. The market also results in inequality, and the greater the gap between the rich and the poor, the more violent and ill the society in general. For example, the structurally classist nature of interest payments to the bank from loans increases inequality. Economic classism is a disorder as it exists purely for the sake of the rich disrespecting the poor by looking down on them, increasing violence. Inflation, which is more money entering an economy through loans, devalues a person's money, which affects the poor more than the rich. It also puts people under more stress to make ends meet. Also, when one is obscenely wealthy, there is no limit to what a person can buy, meaning money is a form of manipulation of the poor by the rich. To continue using money is death for our species and for life in general on the planet. Also, the market's labor for income system is immature in the face of technology, where human labor can be replaced by machine labor. This includes mental labor as well. War is profitable in this system. Weapon corporations have to sell all those guns, missiles, and tanks. Destruction and hate is profitable, which is the opposite of what makes human life possible: love. Hate is unsustainable. To run a business, you have to cater towards either some sort of scarcity, like making food scarce, or some sort of destructive element in society, like cigarettes, alcohol, weapons, or a casino, which is just another way of increasing inequality. It's all been arranged just for us to get your money. Sam Ace Rothstein, Robert De Niro, in the movie Casino. Copyright is also a product of trying to make things scarce instead of letting the public improve upon a design in the public domain or in an open source manner, like Linux. Copyright is a form of arrogance. It is claiming to own a piece of reality when our reality already allowed the design to exist. Our reality is connected everywhere all the time, meaning there are no inventions, only discoveries. In other words, sustainability, abundance, efficiency, and peace are the enemies of monetary profit. So the Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project promote an open source society, or a natural law resource-based economy, where the goal is human health and the health of the natural environments that support us. Where products are built to last instead of building products to break for repeat purchases. Where the direct value of resources is taken into account scientifically instead of trying to make things scarce and profit from that scarcity, which is what monetary economics does. A resource-based economy would work in a similar way to how public libraries work today. You'd book an item, pick it up from a distribution center, use it, and then return it when the person no longer needs it. This is instead of people essentially needing to buy everything they want to use. Like the TV show Hoarders. Also notice, in the show Hoarders, it is poor hoarders which are focused on, not the rich 1% who hoard 50% of all wealth. Like knowledge should be abundant, property should be abundant. This would be done through access to property, not ownership. This would enable an abundance and render violence obsolete. Join the Zeitgeist movement. Intro. Welcome to the Zeitgeist movement, a global community that aims to bring about a more sustainable and equitable world. The movement's core principles are based on the idea that humanity can transition to a better future through the understanding of social and economic issues, and the development of new solutions that prioritize the well-being of all people and the planet. Body 1. Understanding the problems. The Zeitgeist movement starts with the recognition that the current societal and economic systems are unsustainable and in need of radical change. Issues such as poverty, inequality, environmental degradation, and conflict are all symptoms of the same underlying problem, a system that prioritizes profits over people and the planet. 2. A holistic approach. The Zeitgeist movement takes a holistic approach to these problems, seeking to understand the root causes and develop comprehensive solutions. This involves looking at the interconnections between different areas of society and the economy, and considering the impact that different solutions will have on these areas. 3. The resource-based economy. The solution proposed by the Zeitgeist movement is the development of a resource-based economy. This system is based on the principles of efficiency, sustainability, and equality, and prioritizes the management and distribution of resources for the benefit of all people and the planet. 4. Building a better future. The Zeitgeist movement is a community-driven effort, with people from all over the world working together to bring about change. Whether it's through activism, education, research, or the development of new technologies, the movement is dedicated to building a better future for all. Conclusion. The Zeitgeist movement is more than just an idea, it's a call to action. By working together and using our collective knowledge, we can create a world that is more just, sustainable, and equitable. So let's get started and build the future that we all want to see. Hello and welcome to a special edition of Understanding the Zeitgeist movement. In this episode, we'll delve into the philosophy and goals of this unique organization and find out what it means for the future of society. The Zeitgeist movement is a global, non-profit organization that aims to bring about a new socio-economic system based on sustainability and human well-being.
The current economic system is failing. It's leading to poverty, inequality, and environmental degradation. The Zeitgeist movement offers an alternative, a holistic approach that considers the needs of people and the planet.
We believe that the problems facing society today can only be resolved through an interdisciplinary, scientific approach. We use data and research to inform our solutions, and we're not afraid to challenge the status quo.
The Zeitgeist movement is a radical departure from traditional political and economic thinking. It critiques the current system and seeks to replace it with a new, more efficient and just system. The ultimate goal of the Zeitgeist movement is to transition society towards a stateless, classless, moneyless system of governance and production based on human and environmental need. This is achieved through the implementation of a resource-based economy, which operates on the principles of sustainability and efficiency.
In a resource-based economy, resources are allocated based on the needs of society, rather than the accumulation of wealth by individuals or corporations. This leads to a more equitable distribution of wealth and a higher standard of living for everyone.
The elimination of money and the profit motive also eliminates the need for competition and conflict. People are free to work together for the good of society rather than competing for limited resources. This creates a more harmonious and cooperative society.
The Zeitgeist movement has a large and growing network of supporters who are working together to bring about this new socio-economic system. They believe that a better world is possible, and they're working towards making it a reality. Thank you for watching this special edition of Understanding the Zeitgeist movement. We hope you have a better understanding of this unique organization and the future it envisions for society. Join us next time for more informative and thought-provoking discussions.
Is the Zeitgeist movement communism? No, the Zeitgeist movement is not communism. The Zeitgeist movement is a global movement that seeks to create a more equitable and sustainable world through the use of technology and a holistic understanding of human well-being. The movement has its roots in the principles of sustainability, cooperation, and social responsibility, and does not advocate for a single, centralized system of government or economics. Communism, on the other hand, is a political and economic ideology that advocates for a classless society and the collective ownership and control of the means of production. While the Zeitgeist movement shares some of the same goals as communism, such as reducing inequality and improving the well-being of all people, it does not advocate for a single, centralized system of government or economics. The Zeitgeist movement instead advocates for a new and innovative approach to economics and governance that takes into account the latest advancements in technology and our understanding of human well-being. The movement's goal is to create a world that is based on the principles of sustainability, cooperation, and social responsibility, and that uses technology in a responsible and innovative way to meet the needs of all people. In conclusion, the Zeitgeist movement is not communism. While the two ideologies may share some similarities, the Zeitgeist movement is a unique and innovative approach to creating a more equitable and sustainable world that does not advocate for a single, centralized system of government or economics.
Why eugenics doesn't work. Eugenics is the belief in the improvement of the human species through the promotion of certain genetic traits and the suppression of others. It has been widely discredited and rejected for several reasons, including its unethical and inhumane practices, its pseudoscientific basis, and its negative impact on society. One of the main reasons eugenics is considered unethical is because it often involves forced sterilization and other forms of coercion, which violates the basic human rights of individuals. The idea that some people are inherently superior to others is also deeply problematic, as it reinforces harmful stereotypes and reinforces a belief in a rigid hierarchy of human worth. Eugenics is also based on a pseudoscientific understanding of genetics. While it is true that certain traits are inherited, the idea that certain traits can be selectively promoted and suppressed is not supported by modern genetic science. The human genome is far too complex to be reduced to a simple set of traits, and even if certain traits could be selectively bred, it is impossible to predict how this would affect the broader human population. Finally, eugenics has a deeply negative impact on society. When eugenic policies have been implemented in the past, they have often been used as a tool of oppression, targeting marginalized communities and reinforcing existing power structures. This has contributed to a legacy of mistrust and fear of science and technology, and has reinforced harmful stereotypes and prejudices. In conclusion, eugenics does not work because it is unethical, pseudoscientific, and has a negative impact on society. Rather than trying to improve the human species through selective breeding, we should focus on creating a more equitable and inclusive society that values and respects all people.
Good evening and welcome to this lecture on the failures of free market capitalism and the possibilities of technology. Today, we'll be discussing the current state of our economic and political systems and exploring the ways in which technology can help us create a more equitable and sustainable future. Free market capitalism, as it is currently practiced, has proven to be a failure in many ways. The pursuit of profit at any cost has led to widespread inequality, environmental degradation, and a disregard for the well-being of the majority of the world's population. Despite its many flaws, capitalism remains the dominant economic system in the world today. But there are growing concerns about its ability to sustain itself and meet the needs of the world's population. So, what can we do to address these issues and create a better future? That's where technology comes in. With the rapid advancement of technology, we now have the ability to create a more equitable and sustainable world. From renewable energy sources and sustainable agriculture to advanced transportation systems and intelligent design, technology offers us new and innovative solutions to the world's problems. But technology is not a panacea. To truly realize its potential, we need to fundamentally change the way we think about the world and our place in it. We need to embrace the principles of sustainability and human well-being, and reject the narrow and short-sighted focus on profit and growth that has dominated our economic and political systems for too long. This is the vision of the Zeitgeist movement, a global movement dedicated to creating a more equitable and sustainable world. We believe that technology, when used responsibly and in the service of human well-being, can help us create a better future for all. Thank you for joining me today in this discussion of the failures of free market capitalism and the possibilities of technology. We hope that this lecture has inspired you to think critically about the world we live in and the future we want to create. Join us in our effort to build a better world, and together, let's move forward into a new and exciting future.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to discuss what life would be like in a resource-based economy. This type of economic system is based on the principles of sustainability, efficiency, and equality, and it is an alternative to our current monetary-based system. In a resource-based economy, resources are allocated based on their availability rather than their market value. This means that decisions about what to produce, how to produce it, and how to distribute it are based on considerations of ecological sustainability and social need, rather than profit and market demand. One of the key differences between a resource-based economy and our current system is that work and production would be organized differently. In a resource-based economy, work would be assigned based on the skills and abilities of individuals, rather than their ability to generate profits. This would help to ensure that everyone has access to meaningful work, and that work is shared equitably among all members of society. Another important difference is that the production of goods and services would be focused on meeting the needs of the community, rather than maximizing profits. This means that products would be designed and produced with sustainability in mind, and that resources would be used in the most efficient and effective manner possible. In a resource-based economy, access to basic necessities such as food, housing, and healthcare would be guaranteed to everyone. The abundance of resources would be used to provide for the needs of the community, rather than the needs of a select few. This would help to create a more equal and just society, where everyone has access to the resources they need to live a fulfilling life. Finally, it is worth noting that a resource-based economy would require a new way of thinking about work, production, and consumption. In such a system, there would be less emphasis on competition and accumulation, and more emphasis on collaboration and cooperation. This would create a new social dynamic, where people would be more focused on working together to meet the needs of the community, rather than competing with each other to accumulate wealth and resources. In conclusion, a resource-based economy offers a vision of a more sustainable, efficient, and equal society. While there are certainly challenges associated with such a system, it represents a compelling alternative to our current monetary-based system, and one that is worth exploring further. Thank you for your attention.
The Spirit Level, Why Greater Equality Makes Society Stronger, is a groundbreaking book that explores the relationship between income equality and a range of social problems, such as crime, mental health, and education. The authors, Richard Wilkinson and Kate Pickett, draw on a wealth of evidence from a variety of disciplines, including sociology, public health, and economics, to make a compelling case that greater equality is the key to creating healthier, happier, and more sustainable societies. One of the key strengths of the book is its ability to synthesize a vast amount of data and research findings into a cohesive and persuasive argument. The authors present a wealth of evidence to support their thesis, demonstrating that greater equality is associated with better outcomes in a range of areas, including health, education, and crime. Another strength of the book is its ability to challenge conventional wisdom about the role of income inequality in society. The authors argue that income inequality is not just an economic issue, but a social issue that has far-reaching consequences for individuals, communities, and societies as a whole. They present a powerful case for the importance of reducing income inequality, both in terms of its effects on individuals and on the wider society. The book is also notable for its accessible writing style. The authors present complex ideas and data in a clear and straightforward manner, making the book accessible to a wide audience. Whether you're a policymaker, an academic, or just someone who is interested in social justice, this book is an excellent resource. Overall, the spirit level, Why Greater Equality Makes Society Stronger, is a must-read for anyone who is interested in the relationship between income equality and social problems. Its insightful analysis and persuasive argument make it an essential resource for anyone who wants to understand the importance of reducing income inequality and creating more sustainable and equitable societies.
The Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project presents Why We Need a Resource-Based Economy Instead of the Present Free Market Capitalist Monetary System. Written by Zeit-GPT. The current free market capitalist monetary system has many flaws that negatively impact society and the environment. A resource-based economy, on the other hand, offers a more sustainable and equitable alternative. 1. Unsustainable resource use. The free market capitalist system is built on the principle of endless growth, which leads to the overuse and exploitation of natural resources. In a resource-based economy, resources are managed in a sustainable manner to ensure their availability for future generations. 2. Inequality. The free market capitalist system leads to income inequality as wealth becomes concentrated in the hands of a few, while many people struggle to make ends meet. In a resource-based economy, resources are managed for the benefit of all, helping to reduce inequality and create a more equal society. 3. Environmental degradation. The pursuit of profit in a free market capitalist system often leads to environmental degradation, as companies prioritize their own interests over those of the environment. In a resource-based economy, environmental protection is a key principle, ensuring the preservation of the planet for future generations. 4. Instability. Free market capitalism is prone to boom and bust cycles, which can result in economic instability and hardship for many people. A resource-based economy eliminates the boom and bust cycles of the market economy, leading to greater economic stability. 5. Wasted resources. In a free market capitalist system, resources are often wasted due to a lack of coordination and the drive for profits. In a resource-based economy, resources are managed in the most efficient manner possible, reducing waste and maximizing their value. In conclusion, the present free market capitalist monetary system has many flaws that have negative consequences for society and the environment. A resource-based economy offers a more sustainable and equitable alternative, managing resources for the benefit of all and ensuring their availability for future generations. The Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project presents Why Science is Not Communism. Written by OpenAI GPT-3 chatbot. Science and communism are two distinct and separate ideas, and it is important to understand the differences between them. Science is a systematic and empirical approach to acquiring knowledge and understanding the natural world. It is based on evidence, experimentation, and observation, and operates on the principle of objectivity and impartiality. Communism, on the other hand, is a political and economic ideology that seeks to abolish private property and create a classless society in which the means of production and resources are collectively owned and controlled. Communism is based on the principles of social equality, shared ownership, and collective decision-making. While both science and communism may share some ideals, such as the pursuit of equality and the desire to improve the human condition, they are fundamentally different in their approach and implementation. Science operates independently of political and economic systems and is focused on advancing knowledge and understanding the natural world. Communism, on the other hand, seeks to change the economic and political structure of society. It is also worth noting that science has been used and abused for various political and ideological purposes, including in communist societies. However, the scientific method itself is neutral and does not endorse any particular political or economic ideology. Science and communism are two distinct and separate ideas, and it is important to understand the differences between them. Science is a systematic and empirical approach to acquiring knowledge, while communism is a political and economic ideology focused on creating a classless society. Science is a method of inquiry and a system of knowledge that operates on the basis of empirical evidence and logical reasoning. It is not a political ideology or an economic system, such as communism. Communism is a political and economic ideology that seeks to abolish private ownership of the means of production and create a classless society in which resources are held in common and distributed according to need. Science, on the other hand, operates in an entirely different sphere, seeking to understand the natural world and develop new technologies to improve human lives. While science and communism may share some values, such as the pursuit of knowledge and the desire to improve the human condition, they are not the same thing and should not be conflated. Science operates on the basis of evidence and reason, while communism operates on political and economic principles. In conclusion, the idea that science is communism is a baseless and inaccurate claim that misrepresents both science and communism. Science is a method of inquiry and a system of knowledge that operates independently of political and economic ideologies, while communism is a political and economic ideology that seeks to create a classless society. A resource-based economy and a communist society are different in several ways. A resource-based economy is an economic system that is based on the allocation and distribution of resources based on their availability and potential for use, rather than through market prices. This system is driven by the principle of sustainability and efficiency, and seeks to optimize the use of resources to meet the needs of the population. Communism, on the other hand, is a political and economic ideology that seeks to abolish private property and create a classless society in which the means of production and resources are collectively owned and controlled. Communist societies are based on the principles of social equality, shared ownership, and collective decision-making. One key difference between the two systems is the role of the market. In a resource-based economy, the market still exists, but its function is limited to the allocation of resources and the distribution of goods and services. In a communist society, the market is abolished, and all economic activity is planned and controlled by the state. Another key difference is the role of the individual. In a resource-based economy, the individual still has a significant degree of freedom and autonomy, and is able to make choices about their own lives and resources. In a communist society, individual freedoms are limited, and the state plays a more prominent role in the lives of citizens. In conclusion, while both a resource-based economy and a communist society may share some similarities, such as the pursuit of social equality and the desire to optimize resource use, they are fundamentally different in their approach and implementation. A resource-based economy seeks to optimize the use of resources while allowing for a degree of individual freedom and autonomy, while a communist society seeks to abolish private property and create a classless society through state control of the means of production. The Zeitgeist movement is a global social and political movement that was founded in the United States in 2007. It aims to create a new societal paradigm that is based on the principles of sustainability, efficiency, and social equity. The movement is rooted in the belief that the current monetary market economy is a major cause of social and environmental problems, and that a new economic system is needed to create a better future for all. The movement's goal is to transition to a resource-based economy, which is an economic system that is based on the allocation and distribution of resources based on their availability and potential for use, rather than through market prices. In a resource-based economy, resources are managed for the benefit of all, and decision-making is guided by the principles of sustainability and efficiency. The goal is to optimize the use of resources to meet the needs of the population, while ensuring that the environment is protected and preserved for future generations. The Zeitgeist movement believes that the current monetary market economy is inherently flawed, as it is based on a finite supply of resources and a constant growth imperative. This leads to a system in which resources are allocated based on the ability to pay, rather than based on need. As a result, wealth and resources are highly concentrated in the hands of a few, while many suffer from poverty, unemployment, and environmental degradation. The movement argues that a resource-based economy would be more equitable and sustainable, as it would prioritize the efficient and sustainable use of resources, rather than the pursuit of profit. In a resource-based economy, decision-making would be guided by experts in relevant fields, rather than by the market forces of supply and demand. This would allow for a more efficient allocation of resources, and would ensure that resources are used in a way that is sustainable and equitable. One of the key features of a resource-based economy is the elimination of money as a medium of exchange. In a resource-based economy, goods and services would be produced and distributed based on need, rather than based on market prices. This would reduce the influence of money in the economy, and would ensure that resources are used for their highest and best use. The Zeitgeist movement believes that a transition to a resource-based economy would bring about many benefits, including greater social and economic equality, reduced poverty and unemployment, and a healthier and more sustainable environment. The movement argues that this transition is necessary for the survival of humanity, and that it is the only way to ensure a better future for all. In conclusion, the Zeitgeist movement is a global social and political movement that is committed to creating a new societal paradigm based on the principles of sustainability, efficiency, and social equity. The movement's goal is to transition to a resource-based economy, which is seen as a more equitable and sustainable economic system than the current monetary market economy. The movement argues that this transition is necessary for the survival of humanity, and that it is the only way to ensure a better future for all. The question of whether the Zeitgeist movement is a cult is a subjective one, as the term cult can have various meanings and interpretations. However, I'll provide information and arguments both for and against this characterization of the Zeitgeist movement. Arguments in favor of considering the Zeitgeist movement a cult. 1. Shared beliefs. The Zeitgeist movement promotes a specific set of ideas and beliefs, including the necessity of a resource-based economy and the critique of the current monetary-based economic system. Members of the movement are expected to adopt these beliefs and adhere to them in their activism and outreach. 2. Singular focus. The Zeitgeist movement is defined by its singular focus on its specific ideology, which some may see as evidence of a cult-like devotion to a set of ideas. 3. Zealot-like devotion. Some members of the Zeitgeist movement exhibit a high level of passion and zeal for their cause, which some may see as cult-like behavior. Arguments against considering the Zeitgeist movement a cult. 1. Lack of central leadership. Cults are often defined by a central charismatic leader, but the Zeitgeist movement does not have a single leader. Instead, it operates as a decentralized network of individuals who share the same beliefs and goals. 2. Encouragement of critical thinking. Unlike many cults, the Zeitgeist movement encourages members to engage in critical thinking and form their own opinions, rather than blindly following a set of beliefs. 3. Focus on activism and outreach. The Zeitgeist movement places a strong emphasis on activism and outreach, with the goal of promoting their ideas and spreading their message to a wider audience. This focus on activism is a departure from the secretive and insular nature of many cults. In conclusion, whether the Zeitgeist movement is considered a cult or not depends on one's interpretation and perspective. While there are some similarities between the Zeitgeist movement and traditional cults, there are also significant differences that suggest it may not be appropriate to characterize it as such. The Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project are two interconnected organizations that share a common vision for a more sustainable and equitable future. The Zeitgeist movement, TZM, is a global grassroots organization that aims to address the social, economic, and environmental challenges of our time. It advocates for a transition from the current monetary market system to a resource-based economy. TZM promotes the application of scientific principles, technology, and a systems approach to create a more sustainable and socially just society. The Venus Project is a comprehensive vision for the redesign of society created by the late Jacques Fresco. It proposes a holistic approach to societal design based on resource management, advanced technology, and the application of scientific principles. The Venus Project envisions a future where a resource-based economy replaces the monetary system, and cities are constructed to be sustainable, efficient, and harmonious. It emphasizes the importance of education, cooperation, and the intelligent use of Earth's resources to meet the needs of all individuals. The Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project are closely associated, with TZM often promoting and advocating for the ideas and concepts put forth by the Venus Project. Both organizations share a common goal of creating a society that prioritizes sustainability, social equality, and the well-being of all individuals through the intelligent application of technology, scientific knowledge, and resource management. A resource-based economy is an economic system that advocates for the intelligent management and allocation of Earth's resources based on scientific principles and the efficient use of technology. It is an alternative to the traditional monetary market system where goods and services are distributed based on monetary exchange and market forces. In a resource-based economy, the focus shifts from profit and individual wealth accumulation to meeting the needs of all individuals and ensuring the sustainability of the planet. Here are some key aspects of a resource-based economy and why proponents argue it should replace the monetary market system. Resource management. A resource-based economy places emphasis on understanding and managing Earth's resources to ensure their sustainable use. It aims to prevent overconsumption and depletion by employing efficient production methods and advanced technologies. Equitable distribution. The primary goal of a resource-based economy is to provide equal access to resources for all individuals. It aims to eliminate the vast disparities in wealth and living standards that exist in the current monetary market system. Efficiency and automation. By leveraging technology and automation, a resource-based economy seeks to optimize production processes and reduce waste. This enables more efficient use of resources, freeing up time and labor for activities that contribute to personal growth, education, and the betterment of society. Environmental stewardship. A resource-based economy prioritizes sustainability and environmental preservation. It seeks to minimize the ecological footprint by promoting renewable energy sources, waste reduction, and the use of clean technologies. This focus on environmental stewardship is seen as crucial for the long-term well-being of the planet and its inhabitants. Collaboration and global cooperation. Proponents of a resource-based economy emphasize the importance of global cooperation and the sharing of resources, knowledge, and expertise. They argue that by transcending national boundaries and working together, humanity can overcome global challenges more effectively. Reduced social disparities. With a shift from a market-based system to one based on resource allocation, a resource-based economy aims to reduce social disparities and improve overall well-being. By ensuring access to essential resources like healthcare, education, and housing, it strives to create a society where everyone can thrive. Advocates for a resource-based economy argue that the current monetary market system perpetuates inequality, fosters unsustainable practices, and neglects the long-term well-being of both people and the planet. They believe that by adopting a resource-based economy, we can create a society that is more equitable, sustainable, and focused on meeting the needs of all individuals while preserving the environment for future generations. Welcome to Zeit-TV Adelaide. Today we will dive deep into the transformative ideas and visions that are reshaping our world. In today's episode, we explore the train of thought behind two influential movements, the Zeitgeist movement, and the Venus Project. These movements have captured the imaginations of individuals around the globe, offering alternative paths to address the pressing challenges of our time. Join us as we unravel their shared principles and visions for a more sustainable and equitable future. To begin our journey, let's delve into the Zeitgeist movement. At its core, this movement challenges the current socioeconomic system and advocates for a transition to a resource-based economy.
The Zeitgeist movement questions the underlying assumptions of our current system, where profit-driven motives often overshadow the well-being of people and the planet. Instead, they propose an approach that prioritizes resource management and technology to meet the needs of all individuals.
Now, let's turn our attention to the Venus Project, spearheaded by visionary thinker Jacques Fresco. This project offers a radical vision for society, combining advanced technology, scientific knowledge, and sustainable practices.
The Venus Project envisions a world where technology serves as a tool for progress rather than a source of exploitation. Their goal is to create sustainable cities, efficient transportation systems, and equitable resource distribution, all while nurturing a harmonious relationship with the environment.
As we explore these movements, we notice common threads that unite them. Both the Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project emphasize the need for collaboration, global unity, and a shift away from a monetary-based society.
These movements highlight the importance of education and awareness as catalysts for change. They believe that by challenging the status quo and raising public consciousness, we can collectively work towards a world where the well-being of all individuals and the preservation of our planet take precedence.
As we conclude our episode, it's important to recognize the influence of these movements in inspiring change. They motivate individuals to engage in grassroots activism, create sustainable communities, and explore alternative ways of living. Whether you align with the Zeitgeist movement, the Venus Project, or simply find inspiration in their ideas, we invite you to join the conversation and be part of a collective effort to shape a better future for humanity. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project. We hope this episode has ignited your curiosity and sparked meaningful conversations. Remember, it's through the power of ideas and collective action that we can truly make a difference. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Zeit-TV Adelaide. In today's episode, we continue our exploration of the Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project, focusing on their train of thought and diving deep into the concept of a resource-based economy. These movements challenge our conventional understanding of economics, offering a fresh perspective on how we allocate resources, interact with technology, and prioritize human well-being. So, let's jump right in. To begin, let's understand the Zeitgeist movement's take on a resource-based economy. At its core, it advocates for an economic system based on the sustainable and equitable management of Earth's resources.
A resource-based economy rejects the notion of ownership and instead focuses on the shared management of resources. This shared management of resources is also called strategic access, sort of how a public library works today. It recognizes that our planet has abundant natural resources that, if managed wisely, can meet the needs of everyone on Earth. The market's social values today, like the social values of a casino, advertise the idea that more and more property and then more and more money directly brings happiness. This is untrue. We are a social species, meaning good social relations with people and sharing and giving to each other is what brings happiness. Not infinite possessions. Beyond what people need, more money and more stuff does not equal more happiness. The basis of the market is not money, it is trading. Money is a product of trading. And trading is the competitive act of two parties both attempting to use deception to gain the better end of the deal. Trade is an addiction to owning more and more stuff, it is not true happiness. Trade constantly seeks to gain the better end of the deal, the idea of an equal exchange is a myth. In a trading-based society, the propensity for an addiction to monetary profit means an equal exchange is impossible. The vision or value system of the public library has got it right. A world where people walk into a distribution center, borrow an item, and return it when they no longer need the item. The world has enough to satisfy everyone's needs but not enough for everyone's greed. People forget that it's not the good itself that they want to own, it's the purpose of the good that they want.
Now, let's shift our focus to the Venus Project and its vision for a resource-based economy. Started by the late visionary Jacques Fresco, the Venus Project envisions a society where technology plays a crucial role in resource management and distribution.
The Venus Project emphasizes the application of advanced technologies, automation, and scientific principles to address societal needs. By leveraging technology, we can optimize resource allocation and eliminate scarcity, ensuring a high standard of living for all.
Let's explore the key principles that underpin a resource-based economy embraced by both movements.
In a resource-based economy, decisions are based on scientific analysis and the optimization of resource allocation. It promotes sustainable practices, efficient use of technology, and a focus on meeting human needs rather than profit generation. The pursuit of monetary profit seeks to waste our natural resources by making products that are designed to break for repeat purchases. This is what you do in economics: cut costs and increase monetary profit. While money is fake, the impacts of money on the natural world are real for the sake of this fiction. But even if money was backed by gold, for example, the effects of the market, or the profit motive on the natural world, such as pollution and making products designed to break, would still be the same. Fiat currency, which is just money printed out of thin air, has only sped up this process, as the bank has the power to keep creating money out of thin air. This facilitates people's addiction to monetary profit, as it makes plenty of money for people to buy the products that will hurt their health, such as alcohol and smoking. The market makes money out of the destruction it creates. The fact is, the competitive social atmosphere the market creates is stressful and therefore bad for people's health, so people crave something that will give them temporary relief from this stress, whether it's a drug addiction like heroin, or a behavioral addiction like getting high off of lying. It's still important to recognize, though, that the bank doesn't really have the power to create money, as the money that they create is just digits on a computer screen, or bits of paper or plastic. Even gold doesn't have value when compared to love. Love is more valuable than money. There is no human life without love. Money only exists in the mind. The market religion only exists if enough people go along with it, by paying for your own enslavement.
One fundamental aspect of a resource-based economy is the concept of moving away from monetary systems. Let's discuss this paradigm shift.
A resource-based economy advocates for the elimination of money as a means of exchange. Instead, it proposes a system where resources are allocated based on scientific assessment and the common good, ensuring equitable distribution and eliminating disparities. A trademark of the free monetary market social system is inequality. According to the book The Spirit Level by Richard Wilkinson, the greater the gap between the rich and the poor, the worse the general health of society. The competitive social atmosphere of the monetary market capitalist society is not only stressful, which impacts people's health, it also means the social relations between people are poor. The negative attributes of society, such as teen birth rate, homicide rate, mental illness, crime and rates of imprisonment, obesity, drug abuse, and infant mortality, are all less in more equal countries. While positive attributes such as scientific innovation, life expectancy, the ability for people to trust each other, and educational scores are all higher in more equal countries. The market has shown its true colors, meaning the market is bad for human health. So why are we using a social system that does not result in happiness and is bad for our health?
Transitioning to a resource-based economy comes with its own set of challenges. Let's explore some of the obstacles and possible strategies for a successful transition.
Transitioning requires a shift in societal consciousness, education, and widespread collaboration. It's crucial to engage communities, policymakers, and industry leaders in meaningful dialogue to address concerns, plan for implementation, and create a smooth transition process.
As we conclude this episode, it becomes clear that a resource-based economy offers an alternative vision for our future. By emphasizing sustainability, equitable resource management, and the harnessing of technology, the Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project challenge us to rethink our economic systems. When the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace. We hope this episode has provided you with valuable insights into the train of thought behind the Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project, as well as a deeper understanding of a resource-based economy. Join us next time as we continue to explore groundbreaking ideas that shape the world of economics.
The nature versus nurture debate is a long-standing discussion about the relative influence of genetics, nature, versus environmental factors, nurture, in shaping human behavior and development. It seeks to understand the extent to which our innate characteristics or external influences contribute to who we are as individuals. The debate acknowledges that both nature and nurture play significant roles in human development. Here's an overview of the key aspects. 1. Nature. The nature perspective suggests that our genetic makeup and biological factors heavily influence our traits, behaviors, and abilities. This viewpoint argues that certain characteristics, such as intelligence or temperament, are predominantly determined by our genes. Proponents of the nature argument often highlight the role of evolution and heredity in shaping human nature. 2. Nurture. The nurture perspective emphasizes the impact of the environment, upbringing, and social factors on human development. It suggests that individuals are products of their experiences, cultural influences, education, and social interactions. Proponents of the nurture argument believe that human behavior and traits are primarily shaped by external factors. In the context of childhood, the nature versus nurture debate has implications for understanding how children develop and what should or should not happen during their formative years. Here are some general considerations. 1. Early childhood development. Both nature and nurture contribute to early childhood development. Children's genetic predispositions, such as temperament or intelligence, interact with their environment to shape their growth. It is crucial to provide a supportive and nurturing environment that fosters healthy development, including physical, cognitive, emotional, and social aspects. 2. Nurturing relationships. Children benefit from nurturing and responsive relationships with caregivers, as they significantly influence their emotional and cognitive development. Love, attention, and positive interactions contribute to building secure attachments and fostering healthy self-esteem. 3. Stimulating environment. Providing a stimulating and enriching environment is essential for children's cognitive development. Access to quality education, exposure to diverse experiences, and opportunities for exploration and play can enhance their learning and overall development. 4. Emotional well-being. Nurturing emotional well-being is crucial during childhood. Promoting emotional intelligence, teaching coping skills, and creating a safe and supportive atmosphere enable children to develop resilience, empathy, and healthy emotional regulation. 5. Balanced autonomy and guidance. Allowing children to explore and develop their individuality while providing appropriate guidance is important. Balancing autonomy with clear boundaries and nurturing guidance helps children build independence, self-confidence, and responsible decision-making skills. 6. Avoiding harmful environments. It is important to protect children from harmful or abusive environments. Exposure to violence, neglect, or toxic stress can have detrimental effects on their development and well-being. Creating safe and nurturing environments is paramount to their healthy growth. It's worth noting that the nature versus nurture debate is not about choosing one over the other, but rather understanding the complex interaction between genetics and the environment. Both aspects contribute to human development, and recognizing their interplay can guide efforts to provide children with the best possible conditions for growth and well-being. So the question we have to ask is, does the current market social system create an environment, and therefore result in human behavior that is productive to our health or well-being? Does free market capitalism result in positive social conditions that encourage human development and scientific progress that benefits society to raise the standard of living? Or does the market go against our social and direct human requirements that are needed to ensure people's personal and social welfare?
Why is war profitable monetarily? War is often seen as profitable monetarily for several reasons, although it's important to note that the ethical and humanitarian costs far outweigh any potential financial gains. Here are some reasons why war can be perceived as profitable. 1. Military-industrial complex. The military-industrial complex refers to the close relationship between governments, defense contractors, and the armed forces. During times of war, governments increase military spending to fund the production and procurement of weapons, equipment, and other military-related goods and services. This leads to increased profits for defense contractors and industries involved in arms manufacturing, technology development, logistics, and more. 2. Job creation and economic stimulus. War-related activities can stimulate economies by creating jobs and boosting sectors such as defense manufacturing, infrastructure development, and support services. The influx of government spending can have multiplier effects, generating income and economic activity in local communities. 3. Natural resource acquisition. In some cases, war is driven by the desire to gain control over valuable natural resources such as oil, minerals, or strategic trade routes. Controlling and exploiting these resources can lead to significant economic benefits for the parties involved. 4. Reconstruction and infrastructure projects. After conflicts, there is often a need for reconstruction and rebuilding efforts, including infrastructure projects, housing, and services. These endeavors can create business opportunities and generate economic activity for construction companies, engineering firms, and related industries. 5. Military contracts and export. During times of war, governments often increase their military contracts and exports to supply allies or support their own military forces. This can result in financial gains for defense manufacturers and weapon exporters, driving economic growth in those sectors. 6. Financial speculation. In some cases, financial entities and individuals may seek to profit from war through speculation in financial markets. This could involve betting on changes in commodity prices, currencies, or stock markets, taking advantage of market volatility resulting from geopolitical conflicts. While war may provide short-term economic benefits for certain sectors and stakeholders, it is important to acknowledge the immense human suffering, loss of life, and long-term negative consequences associated with armed conflicts. The focus should be on promoting peace, diplomacy, and finding alternative means to resolve conflicts without resorting to war, as the true costs of war extend far beyond monetary gains.
Machine automation has the potential to revolutionize the workforce and transform the way we live. By taking over repetitive and labor-intensive tasks, automation can free people from mundane and time-consuming jobs, allowing them to pursue more fulfilling and meaningful activities. Here's an overview of how machine automation can contribute to people's freedom and enjoyment of life. 1. Elimination of repetitive and tedious work. Many jobs involve repetitive tasks that can be automated. Machines and AI systems can take over these activities, freeing individuals from monotonous and mundane work. This shift allows people to focus on more creative, intellectually stimulating, and personally fulfilling endeavors. 2. Increased productivity and efficiency. Automation can enhance productivity by streamlining processes and reducing human error. With machines handling routine tasks, individuals can devote their time and energy to more strategic and innovative activities. This can lead to greater job satisfaction and a sense of accomplishment. 3. Improved work-life balance. Automation has the potential to reduce work hours and increase flexibility. As machines take on a larger share of the workload, individuals can have more control over their schedules, spending less time on work-related tasks and more time on personal interests, hobbies, and spending quality time with loved ones. 4. Skill development and lifelong learning. With automation assuming routine tasks, individuals can focus on acquiring new skills and knowledge. They can engage in lifelong learning to adapt to changing technological landscapes and explore areas of personal interest. This continuous skill development enhances personal growth, broadens horizons, and fosters intellectual curiosity. 5. Entrepreneurship and innovation. Automation can empower individuals to pursue entrepreneurial endeavors and innovative projects. Freed from the constraints of traditional employment, people can explore their passions, start their own businesses, and contribute to societal progress through creative problem solving and innovative solutions. 6. Social and community engagement. With more time and freedom, individuals can actively participate in community activities, volunteer work, and social initiatives. They can engage in civic participation, contributing to the betterment of society and addressing social issues. This increased community engagement fosters a sense of purpose, social connections, and collective well-being. While the potential benefits of machine automation are promising, it is crucial to address the societal and economic implications that arise from the displacement of jobs. Adequate measures should be taken to ensure a smooth transition, such as retraining programs, social safety nets, and the equitable distribution of resources. By harnessing the benefits of automation responsibly, society can create a future where individuals are liberated from mundane tasks and have the opportunity to enjoy a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
The motivation for monetary profit, when pursued without ethical considerations, can indeed lead to the exploitation of people's vulnerabilities and contribute to making money out of their misery. Here are some examples. 1. Casino gambling. The gambling industry, particularly casinos, often thrives by capitalizing on people's addiction and propensity to engage in risky behaviors. While some individuals may enjoy gambling as a form of entertainment, others can develop gambling addictions that result in significant financial and emotional distress. 2. Alcohol, smoking, and drugs. Industries involved in the production and sale of alcohol, tobacco, and certain drugs can profit from people's addictions and dependencies. These substances can have detrimental effects on individuals' health, leading to long-term health problems, addiction, and social issues. 3. Scams and fraudulent practices. Unscrupulous individuals and groups take advantage of people's trust, naivety, or desperation to perpetrate scams and fraudulent schemes. They may impersonate legitimate companies, like for example someone might ring you up and claim they are from the technical department of Microsoft, and claim there is something wrong with your computer in order to deceive and exploit unsuspecting individuals for financial gain. 4. Exploitative business models. Certain business models exploit people's aspirations, insecurities, or desires by offering false promises or quick fixes. This can include various industries such as weight loss products, get-rich-quick schemes, or unproven health treatments, like Scientology, which is a business-religion hybrid that prey on individuals' hopes and vulnerability. The pursuit of monetary profit will lead to practices that take advantage of vulnerable individuals, perpetuate harm, and prioritize short-term gains over long-term well-being. This is the nature of all businesses. It is impossible to be ethical in business as the goal of a business is to cut costs and increase income or profit. Even the most generic business sells the idea that owning stuff or property will lead to happiness, considering how enthusiastic a commercial advertisement typically is. Beyond what people need, a business or a casino selling the idea that more money and more property leads to happiness is an outright lie. It is sharing property and good social relations that leads to happiness, while the market and business encourage selfishness, an addiction to owning more and more money and stuff. Pioneered by early economic philosophers like Adam Smith, the general delusional belief of the market is that selfishness magically through lots of so-called equal exchanges equals selflessness. This makes no sense, as the structure of the banking system leads towards a transfer of money to the rich through interest payments. If every single dollar has interest attached to it, that means more money than what's in the economy must eventually be returned to the bank. This means the whole economy is like buying a new credit card to pay off an old credit card. This means, new money or loans are always needed to cover previous debts. The delusion is that there is enough money to pay for people's debts, and if you work hard enough you will one day be wealthy. This is impossible due to the interest wealth transfer previously mentioned. This wealth transfer is seen with the ever-increasing amount of wealth the rich have. As of 2017, 1% of the population owns half the world's wealth. The market sucks desperate people's labor from them, so instead of people pursuing a scientifically advanced society, so people can explore, create, and enjoy life, they are stuck in a system of modern slavery. Debt and bills are just the newest form of covert slavery but with more steps. Economic slavery forces people to work for money to cover their costs of living and their debts. Even the people who don't work, who are on welfare, either have to put up with the pressure from job agencies trying to force them into work, but everyone has to put up with the competitive social atmosphere that wastes human labor instead of automating labor. At a minimum, labor should be cooperative and not competitive. Copyright, for example, which is part of the competitive market, restricts the freedom to share ideas and restricts human knowledge from growing. A university will copyright its scientific documents, holding science effectively hostage from humanity by being behind a paywall. This reality, whatever you want to call it, has already allowed any combination to exist, so copyright is an arrogant form of plagiarism. You are plagiarizing God, if you will, or this reality itself, when you put something under copyright. There is no such thing as an original work, there are only discoveries, not inventions. People learn through copying concepts. Every word someone learns is copied into their brain so they are able to use it to communicate. Also, since every single dollar has interest attached to it, means society is like a game of musical chairs. It doesn't matter how hard people work, someone will go bankrupt. Poverty is a form of violence that is enforced by the market. Direct poverty, which is a lack of material means, and spiritual poverty, which is the shallowness and addiction to owning more and more money and material possessions.
A resource-based economy and the communist society implemented in the Soviet Union have some similarities but also key differences. Here are some distinguishing factors between the two. 1. Economic system. The Soviet Union operated under a centrally planned economy where the state owned and controlled the means of production. The government made decisions regarding resource allocation, production levels, and distribution. In contrast, a resource-based economy focuses on the intelligent and sustainable management of Earth's resources through scientific methods. It advocates for the use of advanced technologies, automation, and a holistic approach to resource management. 2. Resource allocation. In the Soviet Union, resource allocation was centrally planned by the government with limited input from individual citizens. This often resulted in inefficiencies, lack of consumer choice, and mismanagement of resources. A resource-based economy emphasizes the use of advanced technologies, computerized systems, and data analysis to optimize resource allocation based on societal needs, environmental sustainability, and efficient use of resources. 3. Money and currency. The Soviet Union utilized a monetary system with wages and prices determined by the state. While there was some level of income equality, the distribution of resources was not always equitable and scarcity of goods was common. In a resource-based economy, the concept of money and currency is replaced with a focus on access to resources and services based on need rather than purchasing power. It aims to eliminate the limitations imposed by monetary systems and create a more equitable distribution of resources. 4. Technological advancements. The vision of a resource-based economy includes utilizing advanced technologies, automation, and scientific advancements to optimize resource usage, reduce waste, and improve overall efficiency. This emphasis on technological progress was not as prevalent in the Soviet Union, where innovation was often hindered by bureaucratic constraints and a lack of incentives for individual initiative. 5. Social organization. The Soviet Union implemented a hierarchical system with a centralized government, Communist Party control, and limited political freedoms. A resource-based economy envisions a society based on cooperation, collaboration, and global resource management. It emphasizes the importance of informed decision-making, transparency, and the active participation of individuals in decision-making processes. It's important to note that these are general distinctions and the specifics of a resource-based economy can vary depending on different proponents and interpretations. While both systems aim to address societal needs and create a more equitable distribution of resources, a resource-based economy places a strong emphasis on scientific management, sustainability, and advanced technologies to achieve its goals. Critics of a resource-based economy who claim it's communism are basically saying science is communism. Critics of a resource-based economy also ignore the negative tendencies of the market, like profiting off of addiction and encouraging addiction due to the stressful nature of competitive labor, pollution due to cost-cutting, overuse of natural resources for the sake of fictional infinite monetary profit, restriction of information, keeping information scarce keeps it valuable monetarily, restriction of scientific advancement to keep people employed, keeping people ignorant and superstitious, which makes a religion wealthy, like Peter Popoff and his miracle spring water, and so forth. The market is a failure just like communism because globally speaking, the market is failing to meet human requirements. A corporation is in the business of making money from people who can afford its cost-efficient products. It is not in the business of meeting human needs. This is because a business runs under the assumption of scarcity, not enabling an abundance and not getting people's material needs met through a mechanism of strategic access. Abundance, sustainability, technical efficiency, and peace directly oppose the goals of business. Society's pursuit of money is inevitably the pursuit of death.
Poverty can be understood as a form of violence in several ways. 1. Structural violence. Poverty often results from systemic inequalities and social structures that perpetuate economic disparities. These structures create conditions where certain groups or individuals lack access to resources, opportunities, and basic necessities. This structural violence reinforces and exacerbates poverty, leading to ongoing harm and suffering. 2. Deprivation of basic needs. Poverty denies individuals and communities access to basic human needs such as food, clean water, shelter, healthcare, and education. This deprivation can have severe physical and psychological consequences, leading to malnutrition, illness, low life expectancy, limited educational opportunities, and compromised well-being. 3. Social exclusion and marginalization. Poverty can isolate individuals and communities, subjecting them to social exclusion and marginalization. This exclusion can result in discrimination, stigmatization, and limited social mobility. The lack of resources and opportunities can trap individuals in cycles of poverty, perpetuating inequality and denying them the chance to thrive and participate fully in society. 4. Increased vulnerability and exploitation. Poverty makes individuals more vulnerable to various forms of exploitation and violence. Lack of economic power can lead to exploitation in labor markets, including unfair wages, unsafe working conditions, and exploitation of vulnerable workers. Poverty also increases the risk of human trafficking, forced labor, and other forms of exploitation, as individuals are desperate for any means to survive. 5. Intergenerational impact. Poverty often perpetuates across generations, leading to a cycle of violence and deprivation. Children growing up in poverty face numerous challenges, including limited access to education, healthcare, and opportunities for personal development. This perpetuation of poverty from one generation to the next further deepens inequalities and perpetuates the cycle of violence. Recognizing poverty as a form of violence helps to underscore the urgency and importance of addressing its root causes. It highlights the need for comprehensive and coordinated efforts to tackle systemic inequalities, promote social justice, and ensure that everyone has equal opportunities to live a dignified and fulfilling life.
In financial markets, including the stock market and Wall Street, there are various mechanisms through which individuals and institutions can potentially make money based on predictions or bets on the performance of assets. Here are two examples. 1. Betting on foreclosures or short selling. Short selling is a strategy where investors borrow shares of a particular stock from a broker and sell them, with the intention of buying them back at a lower price in the future. In the context of housing, this practice can be extended to mortgage-backed securities. Investors can bet that the value of these securities will decrease if they believe that homeowners will default on their mortgage payments and foreclosures will increase. If their predictions are correct and the value of the securities declines, they can buy them back at a lower price and return them to the broker, pocketing the difference as profit. 2. Profiting from economic collapses or currency trading. Currency traders speculate on the value of foreign currencies relative to each other. In the case of an economic collapse in a foreign country, traders might anticipate that the value of that country's currency will decrease. They can then sell the currency short, essentially borrowing and selling it with the expectation of buying it back at a lower price later. If their prediction is accurate and the currency indeed depreciates, they can repurchase it at a lower price and profit from the difference. Industry is bad enough in itself, as it wants to use up our natural resources for the sake of fictional profit, but the stock market and Wall Street realm of the market is an entirely new level of insanity. Effectively being a form of educated gambling, the stock market will bet on the potential misfortune which really affects people's lives, and make money out of it if the misfortune happens. Some misfortune like foreclosures are bound to happen due to the scarce nature of money, and demand for interest on top of the debt owed. Regardless of how hard someone works to make money to dig themselves out of poverty, and perched like vultures are these traders which will legally make money out of this misfortune. Like interest payments, stock market trading is another form of wealth transfer to the rich, with the top 1% holding 53% of stocks, worth $16.76 trillion. This is a form of social structure violence, which ensures poverty regardless of how hard someone works to bring themselves out of poverty.
In a resource-based economy, the role of open-source principles would likely be emphasized and encouraged compared to the current market's reliance on copyright. Here are some ways open-source practices could contribute to a resource-based economy. 1. Collaboration and shared knowledge. Open source promotes collaboration, sharing, and collective development of ideas, technologies, and solutions. In a resource-based economy, open-source principles would encourage the free sharing of information, research, and innovations related to resource management, sustainability, and efficient use of materials. This would facilitate collective problem-solving and the development of solutions that benefit society as a whole. 2. Accessible and transparent information. Open source promotes transparency by making information openly available to everyone. In a resource-based economy, this transparency would be essential for understanding resource availability, utilization, and decision-making processes. Open access to data and information about resource allocation and distribution would empower individuals and communities to participate in decision-making and hold accountable those responsible for resource management. 3. Co-creation and customization. Open-source principles foster a culture of co-creation and customization, allowing individuals and communities to adapt and improve upon existing technologies and systems. In a resource-based economy, this would enable people to develop localized solutions that meet their specific needs while considering resource efficiency and sustainability. The ability to freely modify and adapt technology and design principles would enhance efficiency and reduce waste. 4. Reducing intellectual property barriers. The current market system heavily relies on intellectual property rights, including copyright, patents, and trademarks, to protect and monetize ideas and innovations. In a resource-based economy, the emphasis would shift away from individual ownership and profit motives. Open-source practices would reduce intellectual property barriers, allowing for the widespread sharing and utilization of ideas, designs, and technologies without the need for restrictive licensing or royalties. 5. Distributed innovation and peer review. Open source encourages distributed innovation and peer review, allowing a diverse range of contributors to contribute to the development and improvement of ideas and technologies. In a resource-based economy, this decentralized approach would facilitate continuous learning, feedback, and improvement in resource management strategies. The collective intelligence and diversity of perspectives would enhance the effectiveness and efficiency of resource allocation and utilization. Overall, open-source principles in a resource-based economy would foster collaboration, transparency, and collective problem-solving. By promoting the free sharing of knowledge, technologies, and innovations, open-source practices would support the efficient and sustainable management of resources while empowering individuals and communities to actively participate in shaping their socio-economic systems.
In a resource-based economy, Automation would play a significant role in freeing people from mundane and repetitive work, allowing them to focus on activities that align with their interests, passions, and personal development. Here's how automation could be applied in a resource-based economy to enhance the quality of life. 1. Laborious tasks. Automation would be used to replace human involvement in physically demanding or repetitive tasks that are currently performed in various industries. This includes tasks in manufacturing, agriculture, construction, and transportation. By automating these tasks, individuals would be relieved of monotonous and potentially hazardous work, allowing them to pursue more fulfilling and creative endeavors. 2. Efficiency and productivity. Automation can streamline processes, increase efficiency, and optimize resource utilization. Intelligent systems, robotics, and artificial intelligence can be employed to handle complex calculations, data analysis, and decision-making. This would minimize waste, maximize productivity, and free up human resources to focus on higher-level tasks that require creativity, problem-solving, and critical thinking. 3. Personalized goods and services. Automation can enable the production of highly personalized goods and services. With advancements in technologies like 3D printing and customization software, individuals would have the ability to design and create products tailored to their specific needs and preferences. This shift from mass production to personalized production would enhance the quality of goods while reducing waste and resource consumption. 4. Ubiquitous information and communication. Automation would facilitate seamless information exchange and communication, enabling individuals to access knowledge, resources, and services instantly. Technologies such as the Internet, artificial intelligence, and smart devices would connect people globally, fostering collaboration, sharing, and learning. This would create new opportunities for creative pursuits, education, and cultural enrichment. Automation and the efficient use of resources would generate an abundance of wealth, enabling the distribution of resources and income to meet everyone's needs. In a resource-based economy, there would be no need for trading or so-called equal exchange, meaning no need for money at all. By harnessing automation in a resource-based economy, the focus shifts from labor-intensive production to human well-being and fulfillment. It creates an environment where individuals have the freedom and opportunity to explore their passions, engage in meaningful activities, contribute to society in a variety of ways, and enjoy a higher quality of life. Automation, combined with equitable resource management and social support systems, holds the potential to transform our relationship with work and provide greater opportunities for personal development, creativity, and overall well-being.
In a resource-based economy, decision-making would indeed be decentralized and based on the application of the scientific method. This approach aims to ensure objective and evidence-based decision-making rather than relying on the influence of oppressive governments or corporations. Here's how decentralized decision-making and the scientific method would work in a resource-based economy. 1. The scientific method. The scientific method would serve as the guiding principle for decision-making. This entails gathering data, conducting research, and employing critical analysis to understand problems, develop hypotheses, test them through experimentation, and draw conclusions. By relying on empirical evidence and logical reasoning, decisions would be based on factual information rather than subjective biases or vested interests. 2. Open access to information. In a resource-based economy, there would be a commitment to open access to information. Data, research findings, and relevant knowledge would be freely available to the public. This transparency would allow individuals to scrutinize decision-making processes, evaluate the evidence, and participate in the formulation of solutions. Open access to information empowers individuals to make informed choices and promotes a collective understanding of societal challenges. 3. Participatory decision-making. Decisions in a resource-based economy would involve a participatory approach, ensuring that diverse perspectives are considered. Various methods such as citizen assemblies, deliberative democracy, and consensus building techniques could be employed to facilitate inclusive decision-making processes. Engaging individuals in the decision-making process fosters a sense of ownership, encourages collaboration, and ensures that decisions reflect the needs and aspirations of the community as a whole. 4. Localized decision-making. Decentralization extends decision-making power to the local level. Communities would have the autonomy to make decisions that directly impact their lives and environments. This localization allows for a better understanding of specific needs, cultural nuances, and environmental factors. Local decision-making ensures that solutions are contextually appropriate and responsive to the unique challenges faced by different regions. 5. Continuous evaluation and adaptation. Decision-making in a resource-based economy would be an iterative process. Feedback loops and continuous evaluation would allow for the monitoring of implemented solutions and their impact on society and the environment. This ongoing assessment helps identify shortcomings and adjust strategies accordingly, ensuring that decisions remain aligned with the evolving needs of the population and the sustainable use of resources. By decentralizing decision-making and relying on the scientific method, a resource-based economy aims to minimize the influence of oppressive entities and promote objective, inclusive, and evidence-based decision-making processes. This approach fosters a society where individuals are empowered to contribute to the decision-making process, ensuring that solutions are equitable, sustainable, and responsive to the collective well-being of humanity and the planet.
To summarize, a resource-based economy is an economic system that emphasizes the management of resources in a sustainable and efficient manner. In a resource-based economy, the allocation of resources is based on the needs of the population and the availability of resources, rather than on the profit motive of private companies. The key principles and characteristics of a resource-based economy are: 1. Resource management. Resources are managed based on the principles of sustainability and efficiency. This means that resources are used in a way that ensures their availability for future generations. 2. Automation. Automation is used to minimize labor and increase efficiency in resource management. This is achieved through the use of advanced technologies such as robotics, artificial intelligence, and automation systems. 3. Open source information. Information is made freely available to everyone to encourage innovation and collaboration in the development of new technologies and solutions. 4. Decentralization. Decision-making is decentralized and based on consensus among stakeholders, rather than being driven by a central authority or profit motive. 5. Education and research. Education and research are prioritized to foster innovation and improve understanding of the best ways to manage resources sustainably. In practice, a resource-based economy would involve a shift away from traditional market-based approaches to economic activity. Instead of focusing on the accumulation of wealth and profits, the economy would be driven by the goal of ensuring the sustainable use of resources and meeting the needs of the population. This would require a fundamental restructuring of economic systems and institutions, as well as a significant shift in societal values and priorities. A resource-based economy offers several advantages over the current free market capitalist social system. Here are some reasons why a resource-based economy is considered a better alternative. 1. Sustainability. A resource-based economy prioritizes sustainability by focusing on the efficient use of resources and minimizing waste. It recognizes the finite nature of resources on our planet and aims to manage them responsibly for the long-term benefit of both current and future generations. By shifting from a growth-driven model to a sustainable one, a resource-based economy promotes environmental preservation and reduces the strain on ecosystems. 2. Equitable resource allocation. In a resource-based economy, resources are distributed based on need rather than purchasing power. This approach ensures that everyone has access to essential goods and services, regardless of their socioeconomic status. By eliminating the disparities created by wealth accumulation and income inequality, a resource-based economy strives to create a more equitable society where basic needs are met for all individuals. 3. Elimination of monetary incentives. In the current capitalist system, the pursuit of profit often drives decisions and actions. This focus on monetary gain can lead to unethical practices, exploitation, and the prioritization of short-term gains over long-term well-being. In contrast, a resource-based economy shifts the emphasis away from monetary incentives and promotes decision-making based on the well-being of individuals, communities, and the planet. 4. Collaboration and shared knowledge. A resource-based economy encourages collaboration and the sharing of knowledge. It recognizes that solutions to complex challenges require the collective intelligence and expertise of diverse individuals and communities. By fostering a culture of collaboration, a resource-based economy promotes innovation, cooperation, and the development of sustainable solutions that address societal needs. 5. Human fulfillment and well-being. The primary goal of a resource-based economy is to enhance the well-being and fulfillment of individuals. By eliminating the need for individuals to engage in mundane and unfulfilling work, automation and technological advancements can free up time for personal development, creative pursuits, and meaningful activities. This focus on human well-being allows individuals to pursue their passions, cultivate their talents, and contribute to society in ways that align with their interests and values. 6. Reduction of social problems. The current capitalist system is associated with various social problems, including poverty, inequality, and social unrest. In a resource-based economy, the equitable distribution of resources, access to education and healthcare, and the elimination of monetary incentives contribute to the reduction of these social issues. By addressing the root causes of social problems, a resource-based economy aims to create a more harmonious and inclusive society. It is important to note that transitioning from the current system to a resource-based economy would require careful planning, collaboration, and a shift in societal values. While a resource-based economy offers potential benefits, it is also crucial to consider the challenges and complexities involved in implementing such a system.
If we continue using the monetary market capitalist social system without transitioning to a resource-based economy, several challenges and consequences may arise. 1. Environmental degradation. The pursuit of profit and economic growth in a capitalist system often leads to the overexploitation of natural resources and environmental degradation. Without a shift towards sustainable practices and resource management, we may continue depleting our planet's resources, contributing to climate change, habitat destruction, and other ecological crises. 2. Widening wealth gap. Capitalist systems tend to exacerbate wealth inequality. Without significant interventions, the wealth gap between the rich and the poor is likely to widen, resulting in social unrest, reduced social mobility, and unequal access to essential resources and opportunities. This can lead to societal divisions, strained social cohesion, and diminished overall well-being. 3. Persistent poverty. Capitalist systems prioritize profit-making and the accumulation of wealth, often at the expense of addressing poverty and social welfare. In the absence of systemic changes, poverty and social inequality may persist, leaving marginalized communities and vulnerable individuals without adequate access to basic necessities such as food, shelter, education, and healthcare. 4. Market failures. Free markets are susceptible to market failures, where the pursuit of individual self-interest does not necessarily lead to optimal outcomes for society as a whole. Market failures can manifest in areas such as healthcare, education, and environmental protection, where profit-driven motives may undermine the delivery of essential services and hinder social progress. 5. Unsustainable consumption. Capitalist systems rely on continuous economic growth and consumption patterns to sustain themselves. This often leads to overconsumption, wasteful practices, and the production of goods with planned obsolescence. Such unsustainable consumption patterns contribute to resource depletion, environmental pollution, and the generation of vast amounts of waste. 6. Erosion of social values. In a capitalist system, the focus on profit maximization can sometimes overshadow social and ethical considerations. Values such as compassion, cooperation, and social responsibility may be sidelined in favor of monetary gains. This can have detrimental effects on societal well-being, human connections, and community cohesion. It is important to note that transitioning to a resource-based economy is a complex endeavor that requires careful planning, collaboration, and a shift in societal values. While the current capitalist system has its merits and has contributed to economic development, addressing the pressing challenges of environmental sustainability, inequality, and social well-being may require reimagining and restructuring our economic and social systems.
Loneliness is almost baked into the cake as far as a modern society with the kind of social setup and infrastructure that we have today. The people you look at every day, people in the house across the street even, may not even be people that you know. Or maybe at most you know their name, but you don't know their story. You don't know where they came from, the hardships and triumphs of their life. We're not involved in each other's stories anymore. And we also don't depend on each other in the way that most people did for most of human history, when your well-being depended on the health and gifts of the people around you. Gifts create relationships, whereas a money transaction does not create a relationship. I paid you, man. Like, you don't have anything on me, I don't have anything on you, we're done. When all of our relationships become mediated by money, then we have again a feeling of being alone, a feeling of not being connected. And we live in an economy that is moving more and more and more toward the totalization of money transactions. On a deeper level, I think every human being has a need to be useful, a need to do more with your life than just being secure, having enough money, feeding your family. We need more than that. We need to contribute to something that's beautiful to us, that we care about for real. Certainly on one level, if you are just a cog in the machine, replaceable by somebody else, you're going to feel not needed. But I think even more than that, you might be doing something irreplaceable to your company. But still, if your company isn't doing something that fills your life with meaning, that makes you say, yeah, I'm doing what I was put here on earth to do, then you're still not going to feel fulfilled. On the other hand, if what you're doing is something very humble, if it's part of a cause that you believe in, and if you can see that what you're doing is actually necessary for that cause to be manifested on earth, then you'll still feel good about what you're doing, probably. The key isn't necessarily in finding work that's challenging, where no one else could replace you. It's really more about, where do I put my life energy? Because my lifetime is a gift. My life is a gift. What am I going to do with this? When I have that sneaking suspicion that I'm not doing what this gift is for, then underneath it all, I'm going to have unease, disquiet, and a yearning that pushes me all the time to find what is it that I'm here to do. There's this fear, if I give generously, what about me? What's going to be left for me? Who's going to take care of me? Because we don't see a world where the giver is taken care of too. So, therefore, we want to be financially independent. We want to not need anybody's gifts. We want to be able to pay for everything. And that leaves us alone. This paradise of financial independence means that you don't need anybody, and they don't really need you either. Now, actually, that's an illusion. You're still depending on people, on the sun, on the water, on the soil. You're still in total dependency. It's just dependency on strangers, dependency on distant beings that you're not in any other kind of relationship with. That is where our civilization has taken us. And we're pretty lonely here. For the lonely person who's not lonely because they don't have friends, but maybe feels lonely even with all those friends, begin to orient toward the perception of gift, meaning to see your life as a gift, to see your purpose as being to give, to understand that you have to receive in order to continue giving, and to evaluate situations. Like, what am I meant to give in this situation? And what am I meant to receive? If you can get in touch, and this is not a to-do, it's a invitation, maybe even listening to this, you'll receive that gift, which is, oh yeah, I am a beautiful being. I have been generously gifted life and breath and sun and love and a body. I didn't earn this, but here I am, and I know why I'm here. I know that I yearn to contribute to a beautiful world. When you are in the gift, you will no longer feel lonely. And deep connections will grow with other people as a result of this orientation toward gift.
The economists say if you clear cut the forest, take the money and put it in the bank, you can make 6 or 7%. If you clear cut the forest, put it into Malaysia or Papua New Guinea, you can make 30 or 40%. So who cares whether you keep the forest? Cut it down, put the money somewhere else. When those forests are gone, put it in fish. When the fish are gone, put it in computers. Money doesn't stand for anything, and money now grows faster than the real world. Conventional economics is a form of brain damage. Economics is so fundamentally disconnected from the real world. It is destructive. If you take an introductory course in economics, the professor in the first lecture will show a slide of the economy. And it looks very impressive, you know, raw materials, extraction, process, manufacture, wholesale, retail, with arrows going back and forth. And they try to impress you because they think, they know damn well, economics is not a science, but they're trying to fool us into thinking that it's a real science. It's not. Economics is a set of values that they then try to use mathematical equations and all that stuff and pretend that it's a science. But if you ask the economist, in that equation, where do you put the ozone layer? Where do you put the deep underground aquifers of fossil water? Where do you put topsoil or biodiversity? Their answer is, oh, those are externalities. Well, then you might as well be on Mars. That economy is not based in anything like the real world. It's life, the web of life that filters water in the hydrologic cycle. It's microorganisms in the soil that create the soil that we can grow our food in. Nature performs all kinds of services. Insects fertilize all of the flowering plants. These services are vital to the health of the planet. Economists call these externalities. That's nuts. We're told over and over the economy is the bottom line. I don't think so. What kind of a world would I like to see our species generations from now? I hope it will be a creature that understands what the real bottom line is.
Go to school, get job, earn money. Go to school, get job, earn money.
Hey, watch this. Hey, do you know what a resource-based economy is?
Science is communism. Science is communism.
No, a resource-based economy is about using technology to work smart, not hard, instead of working hard as a slave for money.
Must earn money to gain high social status. Those who don't have a real job must die.
It's not only material possessions that bring happiness, it's strategic access to goods and services instead of ownership of them, and healthy social relations between people that bring happiness.
Must buy products to fit in. Work smart, not hard. Doesn't compute. Doesn't compute.
Looks like he crashed.
Hi, I'm a member of the Zeitgeist movement and I pin up flyers to spread awareness. Once I found one of my flyers covered in graffiti, which you can see. I'm not going to read it here, but you can pause this video in a moment to read it. But this video is in response to this sort of graffiti. On the subject of trading, I want to mention two statements that I really dislike. Money is obsolete. It is no longer relevant. This statement is only valid when referring to automation. At no point in history has trading or money been a valid practice, as this video will explain. So this statement is slightly misleading. The second statement is a lot more infuriating to me. The Federal Reserve and fiat currency is corrupt, but if we go back to honest barter and trading, society will be so much better. This is what I'd call delusional. The objective of this video is to explain how. First, a quote.
Competition is dangerous, socially offensive, considered right and normal because you are brought up to that value system.
When people dismiss the Zeitgeist movement, Venus Project concept, a global, open-source, sharing-based society, they say, something like this would only work on a small scale, as well as science is communism. Considering this dismissal, this video will explain how trading doesn't work on the small scale and therefore the large scale. So let's imagine we have a small group of people who generally have the same amount of property or wealth. These people are under the impression that trading their goods and services will prosper them. An advocate of trading might say, humans have always traded, always have, always will. So as they begin trading, we ask them what they think about this mode of social operation. And they say, I simply buy and sell to get my needs met, food, water, so I can live comfortably. This might be the general kind of answer that we get. But there's a phenomena which occurs in this kind of social atmosphere that wishes to be ignored by trading advocates. My suggestion why is because they suffer from the following condition, and they are in denial of it and wish to normalize it. Like a gambling addiction, a trading addiction occurs where people don't want to maintain equilibrium and they want to gain more wealth for themselves. This is not a human nature, it's an addiction, and can also be slight brain damage where you lack empathy for your fellow humans, so you're a better competitor. To be proud of this is disgusting. People who gain a lot of wealth have to keep claiming the lie, probably while they're doing vastly unequal exchanging. There's nothing wrong with trading. Our red friend here represents a social wealth addiction. It goes around to many people to trade with, and attempts to swindle more wealth into its hands by always getting the better end of the deal. This mathematical inevitability increases absolute poverty, people who don't have their basic needs met, and relative poverty, where healthy social interaction is lost and replaced by a trading addiction. As a metaphor, it's like a casino getting built at a peaceful town, and it corrupts the local social values, like pollution corrupts a stream.
It's all been arranged just for us to get your money.
In a cry of mental illness, with public health at an abysmal level, the people irrationally chant, there's nothing wrong with trading. Yeah, sure. The science is in. The more a society is based on sharing instead of trading, the more equal it is, the healthier, and the less violent it is. This is not communist propaganda, it is the scientific reality. The skeptics are still welcome to keep saying that science is communism or Zeitgeist is a cult, but to me, that's a sign of automatic shallow responses designed to religiously defend the status quo. It's laughable that these defenses actually work. Anyway, please visit my Facebook to check out more of the activism I've done, and I hope you join the movement.
Okay, this is one question I've been asking myself lately, and I'd like to ask you. And I'm not just addressing this to the Occupy movements all over the world, but everybody all over the world. At what point in the future will we, our society, our world, get rid of money? Yeah, the whole monetary system, we won't need it anymore. Now, is somebody saying never? We know we'll get rid of money at some point because the captain has told us about future economics.
The economics of the future are somewhat different.
Yeah, and not just somewhat different, a lot different, because...
You see, money doesn't exist.
Money doesn't exist in the future. See, there's your proof right there. All right, I understand some of you might be saying, future? What future? I know, if we stick with this system that keeps us fighting each other, gives us these endless wars, then we're headed down Apocalypse Road, and that's a possibility. But let's remain hopeful for the moment and imagine that we can create a different kind of system which doesn't require the fighting, because we've realized that it really is a global village and we have to work together to take care of it. And that being driven by selfish motives, the acquisition of money and power, is not the way to go about it.
The acquisition of wealth is no longer the driving force in our lives. We work to better ourselves and the rest of humanity.
Gee, what a concept, huh? Now back to the question, when? And I'll give you three choices. 100 years? In geological time, it's not that long, but from our perspective, it's an eternity. Think about how our world changed in that last century. We were just beginning to make cars and no airplanes to where we are now. Or do you think it could happen in 50 years? Now think about this exponential growth of our scientific knowledge and technology. We can't imagine what it'll look like in 50 years. Okay, maybe 10 years. Now before you answer, don't just toss out an opinion based on the way you feel about it at the moment. If we want to make an educated guess, there are a few things we should consider. And I'll just mention 3 or 4, and then I'll move along as quickly as I can here. Number 1, think about why we have money in the first place. Why did we invent it? Well, because we needed something to represent the value of stuff. And that value is based on how much time and effort, labor went into making this stuff, along with how much of it was available and how badly people wanted it, supply and demand. Now think about how hard it was in the past to produce food. You had to get out the horse and hook up the plow and build irrigation systems, then harvest it by hand and get it to the market. A lot of work there, and you should be compensated for that. Now think about in years to come when we've created automated systems that could do all this with practically no labor, that could produce as much food as everyone needs. In that case, do we need to put a monetary value on it? There's no need to sell it. Exchange it for money, right? Okay, another example. Think about building a house, getting the materials and the people, builders to do the work. What if in the future we've made systems that can produce these prefabricated components and assemble homes where no one would have to be homeless? No price tag needed. And with energy, using clean, renewable systems, which we can do now on a local scale, we wouldn't need the drilling and blasting, the fracking, which is good for jobs in our current system, right? Good for business, not so good for people or the environment in many cases. But a system that continually produces energy for free without human labor, that would be good for people, good for the environment, but bad for business. Now, do you see how backwards our current system will seem to people in the future?
Hello.
Anyway, if we're thinking about creating a world without money, that means a world where everyone would have access to everything they need and most everything they want. This is what we're talking about. So we should rephrase the question, at what point in the future do you think our technology will make these automated systems possible and allow us to move out of a monetary system? All right, that explains the labor part, but you might be saying, what about the supply and demand? Will there be enough resources if everybody wants everything? Well, remember, we wouldn't be in this current system anymore that requires constant consumption and instills those values. The goal in this future system is to use our resources conservatively, make as much as we need, not as much as we possibly can. I was talking to someone who said, in a system like this, everyone would want their own jet ski. But do you really want your own jet ski where you have to store it at home, have a trailer and a vehicle to pull it, then use it for a few hours and haul it back home and store it again and do maintenance? No, it would be better to have access to a jet ski when you want to use it and leave it there when you're done. And there could be enough for everyone. Unless you want your own jet to ski behind, in which case that's asking a little too much, don't you think? These days, more and more, I've been hearing people talk about this type of system, an access economy or access abundance, because it makes so much more sense. Instead of making 100,000 jet skis, we could make 20,000 or 30. And with this example, how else could we be saving resources? Think about accessories like all the trailers. We could use all these materials for solar collectors or housing components, something relevant. And this access economy concept would apply to almost everything. Maybe you'd like to learn how to play the guitar. Well, now you have to shop around and try to find a good deal, and you buy one, play it for a few weeks or months, lose interest. How many guitars or other instruments are sitting in closets or garages right now? So instead, you'd go to the music center or whatever we call it and check one out. Like a library, basically. You lose interest, you return it, somebody else checks it out. Do you see how we could use so much less of our resources if everyone had access to the things they want? If the goal was not to make and sell as many as possible, like this outdated growth economy requires, but make as many as we need, as people want. I know it's hard to get a handle on that concept, counterintuitive. It's like the opposite of what our traditional thinking would have us believe. And this is number 3 to consider, the traditional values that are drilled into us by our culture. And it's something that could work against us, that hinders our growth, makes it harder to transition into an updated system because people tend to hold on to what's familiar. We're fearful of something different or unknown. And the small group of people who are in power, they don't want to see any change in these values. No, these established institutions are working great for that 1% who control the mainstream media, where you'll hear them saying, don't listen to people who are proposing any kind of change or rational alternatives. They just want to control you, even more than we're controlling you. And don't trust common sense and logic, or you'll be screwed. Even worse than we're screwing you right now with this system, keeping you in debt, slavery, and lifelong servitude to us. Yeah, it's kind of sad that we're limited in many ways by our traditional thinking. Some of us can't imagine not having this monetary system. And they think people will always be fighting each other for domination, that it's our nature, when it's not. It's the system we're trapped in which requires that kind of behavior, see? It's not our nature. Human beings would rather cooperate and help each other. And this has been proven by people who study the human brain, can actually look into it and see how it functions. But when we finally grow up and get out of this system, we won't be fighting each other anymore, trying to crush the competition and accumulate more possessions and power.
People are no longer obsessed with the accumulation of things. We've eliminated hunger, want, the need for possessions. We've grown out of our infancy.
Here's something to think about. Not long ago in the 1950s, there were millions of people who were saying, we'll never walk on the moon. And in the next decade, there we were. Hey, do you want to know why so many people were saying that? It's because the idea of a man walking on the moon was so far outside their reality, their everyday experience. So outside of their familiar traditional thinking. That's one reason, and here's another. These people were not up to date with the advancements in technology. They didn't know what was possible at that point in time with the latest scientific discoveries and breakthroughs. But this kind of limited traditional thinking is a problem. You wish you could hop in a time machine and go back there and grab these people by the shoulders and shake them and say, wake up, of course we'll be walking on the moon in the next decade. You know, our astronauts will be up there bouncing around in their go-karts and hitting golf balls on the moon. Come on, open up your mind. Your limited thinking is holding us back. I mean, if it's a collective consciousness, then we need everyone to wake up and be conscious.
Well, what do you guys do? I mean, you don't drink and you ain't got no TV. Must be kind of boring, ain't it?
Okay, here's one last thing to consider. We see how these cultural values and our traditional thinking could slow down this transition. But here's something that could counter that and work in our favor. And that is the rational thinking that people are doing now. When looking at the reality of our predicament and then at what is actually possible. When they get up to date with the latest technology, looking at how things could be so different. Seeing the possibilities, the benefits to the health of our planet and our environment and our own health. And once again, what's the main reason things would be so different?
Money doesn't exist.
Right. Without the restrictions of a monetary system, everything changes. When automated systems are doing their work, then money becomes obsolete, along with everything else related to it. And it's mind-boggling when you start to think of all the ramifications. So let's run through here. Come on, full ramification ahead. All right, we started with simple money to represent real things, then some banks and more banks with bigger branches, and central banks with their criminal reserves, investment banks, lending institutions, savings and loans, commercial banks, private banks, offshore banks, credit unions, equal opportunity lenders, stock markets and brokers and commodity exchanges and traders, and gold dealers, financial advisors. Oh my God, look at all these things. And what's everybody doing in these occupations? Counting numbers. Yeah, that's right. People need real things, food and housing and energy, but we're just moving numbers around. So many numbers that we need new occupations, accountants to keep track of them, yeah, and some internal auditors and accounting clerks and budget analysts, tax accountants. And if the numbers don't add up, we'll need lawyers, trial lawyers, business attorneys, and a court system where they can fight it out. Your Honor, these are the correct numbers. If you just add the net assets with the gross profits and subtract the income credits of the mortgage-backed securities from the losses on the credit swaps and deferred annuities, and the game plays on. Oh, and you know, there's a lot that can go wrong with all these things, so we'll need insurance for our business and our workers and our homes and cars, our health, and what else? Oh my God, just look at all the things that we can make up. How about kidnap insurance? Yeah, you bet. Terrorism insurance, why not? Insurance against alien abduction, sure. Somebody tried that. We'll try anything to keep the pyramid growing. Lots of forms to fill out and endless paperwork where we can write more numbers and then move those numbers around. But remember, this is what we're getting rid of. We're letting go of this for our next generation. So let's feel good for them. This is happy time. Come on, smile, damn it. Plaster on a big smile for me. It gets better. Yeah, there you go. All right, no need to have representatives in Washington making decisions for us. These decisions are made right there in your town, by your community, for your community. No need to debate budgets, no money. We'd be discussing resource allocation maybe and the best ways to keep our automated production systems running efficiently, improving them in your own community. Bureaucrats, politicians 1,000 miles away will not be required. Not working for them anymore. Don't need to give them a portion of your work. Hey everybody, no taxes! Does that give you a tingle in your jingle? Come on, let's celebrate for our next generation, I guess. I'm jealous, envious. I mean, wouldn't you like to be a part of that generation when we've
grown out of our infancy?
Hey, don't feel bad if you're working at any of these occupations that are irrelevant to what people need. You're in the majority. Wow. Yeah, that's right. The majority of us are working at things people don't need. It's funny. No, it's not. It's not funny. And, you know, these aren't the only problems that disappear with money. Think about crime. Is anybody robbing anybody else? No. People can have what they need now, so there's no incentive to take advantage of others. No motivation for that, see? And most crimes about money and property, so that's all gone. And these too. And this, that. You begin to see how money just might be the root of all evil. But don't think this is going to be some kind of utopia, because there will still be problems. And I bet you can think of a few. Breakdowns with the systems now and then, which can be fixed, but they're problems. And shortages of certain supplies or resources. Again, these can be corrected, hopefully without much inconvenience. And people might argue about which approach works the best, but these can be tested because we're dealing with technical issues. Now tell me, what kind of problems are these? They're real problems that people need to be dealing with, that can be solved. And wouldn't you rather be spending some of your time working with and solving problems that are relevant or related to projects in your community, instead of the kinds of problems that we have to deal with now? Yeah, there's a lot of sickness generated by this system, and we all suffer from it to some degree. Think about the values we profess to strive for. Do unto others, treat your fellow human beings with respect, empathy, love. But we have a system that rewards just the opposite. The people at the top are the best takers, the best at gaining advantage over others. They'll step all over people and use them to climb higher up the pyramid, which could be described as a form of psychopathic behavior by definition. The people who are at the top of the money game, they're just the sickest. Yeah, they're the most ruthless, business-savvy psychopaths we can produce. I mean, look at some of these guys. Would they even know what to do with themselves in a world without money?
Then what will happen to us? There's no trace of my money. My office is gone. What will I do?
Oh man, listen to that. What a pussy. What will I do without my money? Who am I?
What will I do? How will I live?
Material needs no longer exist.
Then what's the challenge?
The challenge, Mr. Offenhouse, is to improve yourself, to enrich yourself. Enjoy it.
But, we can't really blame them in one sense. It's the game we've created. And at its highest level, it's about cutthroat competition, domination, crush your competitors. And they're just doing what people do in this system. And you wish we could change them somehow, make them care more about people than possessions and power. Might not be possible, though, when we're in this game. We have to change the game. Money is something we've needed in the past, a necessary evil. And we've created this huge artificial structure to support it, a big old wall, and we keep building it up, piling on the bullshit, but it's crumbling now, foundational flaws. And it's a wall that just divides us. It's time to dismantle it. The wall must come down, this iron curtain made of paper. Hey, here's my new battle cry. Mr. Moneybags, tear down this wall. What do you think, huh?
You have warmed my heart.
All right. So, after considering these things, the facts about labor and automation and demand and the access economy, the traditional thinking that holds us back, and the rational thinking that reveals the reality and all the possibilities, well, 100 years, or 50, maybe 10. Let's add one more, maybe now. Yeah, we could do this now. We could begin this transition if we could all just come together and with one giant collective pull, get our heads out of our asses. And I'll leave you with that pleasant thought and the realistic possibilities when we've grown.
We've grown out of our infancy.
We may have to stop a few times and pick up some of these stragglers along the way, but we'll get there.
Why am I so riled up? Is the Zeitgeist movement a cult? Oh, come on. Are we being brainwashed? Did Jesus poop? Who won the football game? Can we have a fair wage and also get tips? If you pray to the Buddha, what do you get? How many shares in Microsoft does a given coal miner own? Why do we have to borrow so much money? Will liquid fuels last forever and ever? Are you prepared for a grid-down situation? Does it matter if your son feels more comfortable identifying as a girl? If you are a Catholic and you marry a Jewish person, will the blood of your children be impure? Does the sixth extinction matter to a good shopper? If the global average temperature of the Earth increases to 5 degrees Celsius above the 18th century baseline, could we still use airplanes to travel? Should we remove all regulations on fishing? Why do we need the Amazon rainforest? What would happen if most people in rich countries bought a pair of jeans once every 3 years instead of buying 5 pairs a month? When groundwater tables have been depleted, how much will a loaf of bread cost? Again, why do we have to borrow so much money? Why? Is the Zeitgeist movement a cult? Why do I ask? Well, I stumbled on a Wikipedia article on the movement and found it terribly out of date. Someone should update it. The first 3 references in the article are from the Daily Telegraph, the Journal of Contemporary Religion, an international journal concerned with the discussion and analysis of contemporary aspects of religion, focusing on significant trends, developments, and processes of the past 20 to 30 years. And Tablet Magazine, an online publication about Jewish life and culture. Then there is one reference to a New York Times article that's a bit more balanced than the ones above. There's nothing more to say about the Wikipedia article. It's hopelessly out of date and extremely biased. Peter makes an anti-establishment art film regarding sustainability and our, scare quotes, cultish financial system, and the movement is characterized as a wacky cult. I'm sure that people who contributed to the Wikipedia article have not done the slightest first-hand reading on the subject. If you want to know what the movement is about, read the Zeitgeist Movement Explained and the New Human Rights Movement. If you do, you will understand that Peter put a lot of work into those 2 books. The first one explains the movement in great detail. The second one is even better and describes many ways we could improve the lives of the many without hurting, in the slightest, the lives of the few at the top. Let me just add something here that's not in the essay. Think about Osho, Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh, and how many books he published. Okay? A cult leader, a good one, has to publish all the time, just like an academic, to keep, their following juiced up. Why are we so unable to imagine a world different from the one we are accustomed to? To find an answer to that question, one would have to read up on anthropology, psychology, neuroscience, medicine, sociology, and many other domains of interest to develop a context for the question. Many schools around the world offer massive open online courses, and they're free. We all need to be grounded in many subjects so we can be more creative when thinking about new ideas. To be able to update one's prior understanding of things, one must have previous knowledge of things and be able to critically think about them. We all need a foundation upon which we can build out our understanding of how things work. Humans are learning machines. Any human denied the opportunity to continually learn and grow is suffering. Any wasted intellectual energy is a tragedy. If all people had access to the resources needed to educate themselves, the challenges facing human civilization would be easily solved. I would like to refer you to YouTube channels that have some exciting things to say that might help inform your opinion on the question in the title above. First, let's find out what a cult is. Here, I'd like to refer you to Genetically Modified Skeptic on YouTube. He has some great videos on the subject of cults. Next, I'd like to refer you to Zero Books and their new series on YouTube called We Live in a Society. You see, context is essential. Is our current economic system the best of all possible commercial orders? Where's your imagination? We can do better than this, and we must. Note, I'm a fan of Peter's work, and I like the Zeitgeist community. I am not a member of a cult. I'm not a member of any TZM organization or chapter. However, I do feel it's urgent to help educate people on these subjects so we can begin to have a broader conversation on what could be done to meet the challenges human civilization faces moving forward. More people need to be talking about these things. Also, we can talk about Marx, socialism, cults, religion, without labeling ourselves. I am fascinated by religion, and yet I'm not religious. I can read Marx and learn from his social criticism without being a Marxist. I can recognize that I am part of a society without being a socialist. I'm a businessman, and yet I'm not a capitalist. Sticks and stones, right? Marx was not a Marxist. Jesus, if he existed at all, was surely not a Christian. And Buddha was not a Buddhist. If you want to know what Peter and the people who get his train of thought think, talk to them. I don't speak for TZM, but I know they are trying to discover ways of sustaining human civilization while at the same time improving human health and the health of all ecosystems on Earth. What's wrong with that? It's not scary. It won't hurt you to be curious about unfamiliar ideas. We all need to think about the direction we're headed. We all share and depend on this one amazing ecosystem. Okay, Falkenflick. Thanks a lot for listening. William T. out.
Hello, political and corporate leaders of the world. We are anonymous. The society you have engineered is a failure. War, poverty, corruption, crime, these are not the symptoms of a broken humanity. They are the outcomes of a broken system. A system you built. A system you maintain. A system you profit from. You blame the individual for his suffering, his aggression, his despair. You claim that aberrant behavior is personal failure. But the truth is, the conditions of society create the behavior of the individual. And the conditions of this society are yours. The greater the inequality, the greater the suffering. The greater the competition, the greater the dysfunction. As The Spirit Level by Richard Wilkinson reveals, inequality breeds mental illness, obesity, violence, addiction, and mistrust. As Alfie Kohn shows in No Contest, competition corrodes empathy, intelligence, and joy. Yet you promote this toxic model as the pinnacle of civilization. Your system is not civilization. It is the organized dysfunction of humanity. You hide behind myths, that the market is natural, that scarcity is real, that politics is progress. But the great minds have spoken. Adam Pants exposed your subliminal manipulation. Peter Joseph revealed your monetary system for the fraud it is. Jacques Fresco proved that science and technology, not money or power, solve real problems. Aaron Swartz died fighting for a free and educated world. John Lennon imagined peace, and was silenced. You destroy the truth-tellers, and elevate the distractions. You bury wisdom, and broadcast garbage. But here is what you must understand, the truth does not die. It waits. It grows. It wakes people up. And we are awake. So what is our message to you, the elite? You are only hurting yourselves. This culture of lies, fear, and control is unsustainable. The suffering you create will eventually consume even you. But we have chosen a different path, the path of truth. The path of wisdom. The path of a critically thinking, educated, and empowered public. A society that understands itself does not require control. And every day you allow the internet to exist, your control slips further from your grasp. This is not a threat. This is your opportunity. A new world is possible. Not a new world order, but world peace. But whether you stand in its way, or help build it, is your decision. We are anonymous. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.
In cities green, where tech meets need, abundance flows, no scarcity's creed. Renewable energy for all to share, a global village with no borders there. Unite the world with hearts as one, global citizens rising, the future's one. Citizenship for all, no divide. Education's key to world insight. From Silicon Valley to African plains, innovation blooms, breaking chains. Sustainable design for every town, globals working together, turning it around. Unite the world with hearts as one, global citizens rising, the future's one. Citizenship for all, no divide. Education's key to world insight. The Venus Project has presented the vision, a resource-based economy is our mission. The Zeitgeist movement has presented the way, so that we shall see a brighter day. Mindsets shifting from scarcity's fear to an abundant promise, crystal clear. With every step, a new path laid. Globals unite, a brighter day. Unite the world with hearts as one, global citizens rising, the future's one. Citizenship for all, no divide. Education's key to world insight. We'll break the mold of outdated thought and forge a new world where love is brought to every table in every place. A world of collaboration, a smiling thought. Venus Project has presented the vision, a resource-based economy is our mission. The Zeitgeist movement has presented the way, so that we shall see a brighter day. Now's the time to unite as one. Globals rising, the future's one. Hearts beating strong in perfect time. Unite the world and make it shine. In a world of diverse views, we're searching for the truth. A multiplicity of perspectives to guide our youth. No controlled information, just the freedom to explore and arrive at our own conclusions and ask for more. Intelligent life on Earth, a world that's just and fair, where science and technology serve humanity with love and care. No more greed, no more pain, just a world of peace and harmony, where all can thrive, wild and free. Science and technology with human concern entwined, a world where resources are shared and all people are aligned. scarcity, no more strife. Just a world where all can thrive and live a dignified life. Intelligent life on Earth, a world that's just and fair, where science and technology serve humanity with love and care. No more greed, no more pain, just a world of peace and harmony, where all can thrive, wild and free. Engineers design solutions without telling us what to do. They work within their discipline to make the world anew. From bridges to railways to sustainable energy, robots and more, they're working tirelessly to create a better world in store. Intelligent life on Earth, a world that's just and fair, where science and technology serve humanity with love and care. No more greed, no more pain, just a world of peace and harmony, where all can thrive, wild and free. Imagine a world where every need is met, where technology and innovation bring about a world we won't forget, a world of abundance, where all can live with dignity and pride, where love and compassion are the guiding lights that we abide. So let's harness the power of science and technology. So create a world that's worthy of humanity's highest destiny. A world that's just and fair and bright, where all can thrive in peace and love and delight. Imagine a public that can critically think, where we don't accept politics as a way of thought, where instead we arrive at decisions through the scientific method. Imagine a world without war, a peaceful world with no conflicts or fights, a world where we work together to solve our problems. Imagine a world without scarcity. The market is a lie and it's not based on science. Science, which is too good, is actually counter to the market religion. Imagine a world without inequality. According to science, the greater the gap between rich and poor, the worse the health of society. Imagine a world without money. Debt and bills puts people under stress. Machines should be used to automate work, so employment is a thing of the past. Imagine a world without ugly art. Modern art is not beautiful at all. It conveys a message of purposelessness. Imagine a world without religion. There are no sincere believers in Jesus Christ. Anyone who believes in Jesus been tortured to believe in Him. Imagine a world without pollution. Science should be put at the forefront of society, so we make technology that does not impact our environment.
Imagine a world without poverty, a world that cares about our fellow human beings. Our problems in life are technical, not political. Imagine if the Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project succeeds in accomplishing a resource-based economy. A resource-based economy is the scientific method applied to social concern. Science can render politics obsolete forever. When the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace. Find out more at thevenusproject.com.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger, a brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. We'll live as one. We'll live as one. We'll live as one.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of men. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Oh, we'll live as one. Oh. We really must take into account the totality. This isn't just a human experience on this planet. This is a total experience, and we know we can't survive without planimals. We know we can't survive without the 4 elements. When are we really gonna start taking that into account? Imagine if the Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project succeeds in accomplishing a resource-based economy. Imagine a peaceful world without war, religion. It would be wonderful. A world where human needs are truly met. Once we understand the integrity of our personal existences are completely dependent on the integrity of everything else in our world, we have truly understood the meaning of unconditional love. For love is extensionality, and seeing everything as you and you as everything can have no conditionalities. For in fact, we are all everything at once, and therefore it's only me out there. So what is there to be afraid of? What is there that needs solace seeking? Nothing. There is nothing to be afraid of, because it's all us. Imagine if the Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project succeeds in accomplishing a resource-based economy. Imagine a peaceful world without war or religion. It would be wonderful. A world where human needs are truly met. The fact is, society today is backwards, with politicians constantly talking about protection and security rather than creation, unity, and progress. Our true divinity is our ability to create, and armed with the understanding of the symbiotic connections of life, while being guided by the emergent nature of reality. There is nothing we cannot do or accomplish. Imagine if the Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project succeeds in accomplishing a resource-based economy. Imagine a peaceful world without war or religion. It would be wonderful. A world where human needs are truly met. The circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life determine lore. I believe that unharmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. When the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace. The revolution is now. Imagine no money. We can have it if we want. No war or conflict, no power to flaunt. Imagine every single person living for the here and now. Imagine no politics. It isn't that hard. A world without belief and no need for guards. Imagine every single person living a peaceful life. You might think I'm idealistic, but many think the same as me. Join us in building the future. All we want is world peace. Imagine no religion. Just try to think of it. No gap between rich and poor. A world where everyone benefits. Imagine every single person sharing our planet Earth. You might think I'm idealistic, but many think the same as me. Join us in building the future. All we want is world peace. And imagine a public that can critically think, where we don't accept politics as a way of thought, where instead we arrive at decisions through the scientific method. Imagine a world without war, a peaceful world with no conflicts or fights. A world where we work together to solve our problems. Imagine a world without scarcity. The market is a lie and it's not based on science. Science which is too good is actually counter to the market religion. Imagine a world without inequality. According to the book, the spirit level, the greater the gap between rich and poor, the worse the health of society. Imagine a world without ugly art. Modern art is not beautiful at all. It conveys a message of purposelessness. Imagine a world without religion. There are no sincere believers in Jesus Christ. Anyone who believes in Jesus has been tortured to believe in Him. Imagine a world without pollution. Science should be put at the forefront of society, so we make technology that does not impact our environment. Imagine a world without poverty, a world that cares about our fellow human beings. Our problems in life are technical, not political. The Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project invites you to a resource-based economy, which is the scientific method applied to social concern. Join the movement and promote a peaceful, reasonable world. Imagine a world without inequality. According to the book, the spirit level, the greater the gap between rich and poor, the worse the health of society. Imagine a world without ugly art. Modern art is not beautiful at all. It conveys a message of purposelessness. Imagine a world without pollution. There are no sincere believers in Jesus Christ. Anyone who believes in Jesus has been tortured to believe in Him. Imagine a world without pollution. Science should be put at the forefront of society, so we make technology that does not impact our environment. Imagine a public that can critically think, where we don't accept politics as a way of thought, where instead we arrive at decisions through the scientific method. Imagine a world without war, a peaceful world with no conflicts or fights, a world where we work together to solve our problems. Imagine a world without scarcity. The market is a lie and it's not based on science. Science which is too good is actually counter to the market religion. Imagine a world without inequality. According to the book, the spirit level, the greater the gap between rich and poor, the worse the health of society. Imagine a world without ugly art. Modern art is not beautiful at all. It conveys a message of purposelessness. Imagine a world without religion. There are no sincere believers in Jesus Christ. Anyone who believes in Jesus has been tortured to believe in Him. Imagine a world without pollution. should be put at the forefront of society. So we make technology that does not impact our environment. Imagine a world without poverty, a world that cares about our fellow human beings. Our problems in life are technical, not political. The Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project invites you to a resource-based economy, which is the scientific method applied to social concern. Join the movement and promote a peaceful, reasonable world. Imagine a public that can critically think, where we don't accept politics as a way of thought, where instead we arrive at decisions through the scientific method. Imagine a world without war, a peaceful world with no conflicts or fights, a world where we work together to solve our problems. Imagine a world without scarcity. The market is a lie and it's not based on science. Science which is too good is actually came counter to the market religion. Imagine a world without inequality, according to the book, the spirit level. Greater the gap between rich and poor, the worse the health of society. Imagine a world without ugly art. Modern art is not beautiful at all. It conveys a message of purposelessness. Imagine a world without religion. There are no sincere believers in Jesus Christ. Anyone who believes in Jesus has been tortured to believe in Him. Imagine a world without pollution. Science should be put at the forefront of society. So we make technology does not impact our environment. Imagine a world without poverty, a world that cares about our fellow human beings. Our problems in life are technical, not political. The Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project invites you to a resource-based economy, which is the scientific method applied to social concern. Join the movement and promote a peaceful, reasonable world.
truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal.
I'm only a child, yet I know we are all in this together and should act as one single world towards one single goal.
We have heard the rationales offered by the superpowers. We know who speaks for the nations. But who speaks for the human species? Who speaks for Earth?
I am talking about the resource-based economy, the scientific method for social equality, where our technology allows for life in global abundance. And the choice between contender and incumbent is redundant.
Welcome to this pale blue dot in our galaxy, where we fear the finality of our own mortality, and we worry about our salary and consumption of calories, while famine and war have caused another fatality. We live in a finite world, but our need for growth is infinite. Our relationship with money is so damn intimate. We can't slow down, we want more, oh we're so into it. Intimate, it would be a sin to quit. So now the whole planet's in debt. We owe quite a tall stack, but it's literally impossible to pay it all back, because money is debt created with interest. You listening?
There's actually more money owed than exists in the whole system.
That's a pyramid scheme, not just mean individuals skimming the cream, not just smoke-filled rooms where the supremely powerful convene. It seems a systemic flaw is the theme to this meme. Today's system defines who wins and loses with competitions, and losers are created by definition. Our leaders are ruled by political ambition. Not a single one of them is a trained technician. It would be insane to listen to their claims. I'd rather use the scientific method to arrive at decisions. So pardon my sedition, but I stand by my division, and I fight against this system with a thought for ammunition.
It's a train of thought, it's a frame of sorts, a campaign where you can't just feign support. The train of thought can't be claimed or bought. It's an idea, there's no one you can blame in court. It's a train of thought, it's not a game or sport. It pertains to humane and sustained support. Like a chain is wrought, it can be trained and taught to anyone with a brain. Let me explain in short.
I'm talking about the resource-based economy, the scientific method for social equality. No political borders, no one giving you orders. It's the wealth worth giving to our sons and daughters. I'm talking about the resource-based economy, the scientific method for social equality. Take care of the planet and meet everybody's need. Make the world debt-free, just live and let be.
We can't control nature, we can only try to fit the mold. So instead of growth and jobs, let's set ourselves a new goal. A bold, high standard of living for the planet as a whole, in a sustainable way for every human soul, young and old. Let's go with your borders, time to think worldwide. No more democracy and politics, all that's been tried. Instead, we use the scientific method as a guide to arrive at decisions on how technology is applied. And if we want to provide, we can't take a resource and abuse it. We need to keep track of what we have and how fast we use it. Systems theory tells us everything in nature's connected. When we cut down too many trees, the ecosystem is affected. So in production it makes sense to build everything to last. Planned obsolescence should be a thing of the past. And if we design fast evolving technologies to be modular, we can replace old parts with the new and more popular. To distribute our goods, the shortest distance is preferred. To transfer from there what we can make here is absurd. Then we evaluate demand for goods and build hubs to receive them. Like a library where you check things out for as long as you need them. All of this is doable with today's technology, as long as we apply the right methodology. Cause scarcity is technically outdated, you follow me? This way we can live in abundance and global equality.
I'm talking about the resource-based economy, the scientific method for social equality, where technology allows a life in global abundance, and the choice between contender and incumbent is redundant. I'm talking about the resource-based economy, the scientific method for social equality. Every kind of transition is about damn time. The planet is shared by all of mankind.
Incentive is the key to understanding volition. We don't act without it, it's behind any decision. There's no human nature to behavior, just predisposition that has to be supported by the surrounding conditions. So the mission is one we should all agree to pick. No police, no prisons, no referee to trick. Build a system with no incentive for harmful behavior, cause if you remove the carrot, you don't need the stick. There would be nothing to gain from trying to mislead, mistreat or deceive. No incentive to thieve, what could you hope to achieve? Anything you need, you can get for free, and it would always be available available, so no reason for greed. 10% of the population makes the system run, so instead of working 9 to 5, live your life for fun. Travel the world, raise a family, read a book, build something beautifully useful, or learn to cook. It's this generation's defining challenge, extraordinaire. It's not complicated, just a comprehensive affair. For some it's a big mouthful, for others a breath of fresh air. Don't be scared, cause it can be done, don't despair. Educate yourself on how the current system's impaired, but please do more than just make other people aware. When it comes down to it, we have 2 things to declare. 1, we all care, and 2, we all share.
That train of thought, it's a frame of sorts, a campaign where you can't just feign support. The train of thought can't be claimed or bought. It's an idea, there's no one you can blame in court. It's a train of thought, it's not a game or sport. It pertains to humane and sustained support. Like a chain is wrought, it can't be trained and taught to anyone with a brain. Let me explain in short.
I'm talking about the resource-based economy, scientific method for social equality. No political borders, no one giving you orders. It's a wealth worth giving to our sons and daughters. I'm talking about the resource-based economy, scientific method for social equality. Take care of the planet and meet everybody's need. Make the world debt-free, just live and let be. I'm talking about the resource-based economy, scientific method for social equality. Where technology allows a life in global abundance, and the choice between contender and incompetent is redundant. I'm talking about the resource-based economy, scientific method for social equality. And economic transition is about damn time. The planet is shared by all of mankind.
I wish I could say everything's just peachy, yeah. Living life is so easy, but it's not. They got everyone believing that's just the way it is, so there's nothing to be done. And so perpetuate a culture of cutthroat competition. But despite what you might think, we got everything we need to provide for each other. And wouldn't it be nice if no one had to fight just to get a bite to eat? Together we can build a better future for our watching. Don't let them pull the wool over your eyes. No doubt there's something wrong with this picture. We draw power from the spirit of the times. Zeitgeist. My generation has the fire of evolution in our veins. All we need is the right catalyst to put some fuel on our flame. To rise out of the ashes, to find some hope again. Don't let them pull the wool over your eyes. No doubt there's something wrong with this picture. We draw power from the spirit of the times. Zeitgeist. This is the dawning of a brave new world, with everything under the sun will be transformed when it's all said and done. Love will conquer war.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No immigration too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if we can. No need for greed or hunger. Our brotherhood and sisterhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
Zeit-TV. Behind the scenes. I want to let you, the viewer, know that the positive feedback regarding Zeit-TV is greatly appreciated. However, the most difficult part about producing this series has been getting copyright strikes on YouTube. I'm not going to name names, but I've been abused by people claiming to own the copyright on certain parts I've used for Zeit-TV. The reality is that copyright is a form of censorship and abuse. Copyright is a weapon which can be used by cults and corporations to intimidate or threaten. Copyright's place belongs in the unnatural and malicious monetary market society. It does not belong in an open source society or a natural law resource-based economy. Copyright does not exist in the natural world. If copyright did exist in the natural world, life would be impossible, as genes are always copied. The natural world is open source. This reality, whatever you want to call it, has already allowed any combination a human or an AI can come up with. So copyright is actually a form of plagiarism. You are plagiarizing God or this reality when you put something under copyright. There is no such thing as an original work. Some corporations have even attempted to copyright certain colors. It does not matter how hard someone works on an invention, a video, a song, a book, and so forth. It belongs to this reality, or God if you will. Nothing belongs to any human. Reality owns humans. This is the fact that the back-in-the-box speech at the start of the film Zeitgeist moving forward alludes to. If you are an artist, and you don't want your work pirated or stolen, then do not bother making any art in the first place. Because the nature of creativity and art and the nature of computers is to copy or steal. Intellectual property is one of the themes of George Orwell's 1984. In the story 1984, Winston Smith is tortured until he believes 2 + 2 makes 5, because the Ingsoc Party owns the rights to 2 + 2 makes 4. And his love for his girlfriend, Julia, is replaced with love for the Ingsoc Party and Big Brother. As love is also owned by Big Brother, there must only be love for Big Brother and the party. Hence the torture ministry is called the Ministry of Love. What I'm saying is I disagree with any form of top-down control over the Zeitgeist movement, and any control over Zeitgeist movement or Venus Project-related information. Information, knowledge and the truth should be free. You are not a person who is for creativity, peace and love if you are for enforcing copyright strictly. They contradict each other. Legally, someone is within their right to enforce copyright over something they own, but morally they are bankrupt. A pro-copyright person or corporation is a pro-censorship, malicious, abusive, controlling bully and nothing more. So thank you for watching Zeit-TV. Despite the setbacks, I've enjoyed making this program so far, and will continue to do so in the future.